Hello, welcome everyone to another Drop Frames episode. Wow, you guys are both Is this like Code did he did his Zoolander stare while he was cleaning his glasses. We got the finger guns for Zeke. We need to have more guests. I'm a little nervous. We got a guest on the show. I'm a little nervous, you know. It's good. It's good. We got
Wait.
Nice.
That's not bad.
Not
bad.
Pretty good.
Did you have to warn the guests today? Like you have to warn people
about you.
My dogs are jumpers. They'll jump on you. They just want to smell you a little.
They're just really excited. We'll calm down after a little bit.
I just like that we were doing sound tests. That's why we're a little bit late to the show. The two times that the guest rejoined, Zeke, like seconds before, decides now's the time and just burst into a random tangent.
I didn't know.
And she joins, and I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah. for her, it must have felt like she was entering like 3 different calls with like the same people that took place at different times.
So bad. It was really good.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyways, maybe we'll share one day what those were. But maybe 2 of them I don't think Zeke wants us to share. Not because they're bad, but because they are secretive to people. Yeah, they're secret.
Yes.
So,
secrets,
we shall not
you will
share.
find out. Yes.
We will not share. Anyways, plan is we got 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours with us. And then Carrie Patel from Avowed will be joining us. She's the game director over there at Obsidian on Avowed. She'll be joining us for the last 30 minutes of the show. And so we'll try to sneak in as much as we can. There's actually a lot of stuff to talk about. We didn't do a show last week. That was the week that I guess let's just start with the Twitch streamer payout program adjustments, which kind of a weird thing how they did this in the blog. I don't know. Maybe I'm old and jaded. Let's just get it out there. Because this entire thing felt like a way for them to just sneak in regional prime pricing. And like not that many people were really talking about it. When it's gonna be
like a compliment sandwich.
You know, thank you. Zeke, you beat me to it.
Yeah, you say the good thing and then the bad thing, and then another little good thing, you know?
Yeah. So the things that they put in here, they're expanding the Partner Plus program to give streamers access to increased net revenue shares on paid and gifted subs. They're eliminating the 100,000 cap for 70/30 net revenue share recipients, which that is a very positive thing. I think that was something that a lot of people were kind of down on in our social spheres. And then the third and quite possibly the biggest change that people will, I guess, find out in June, I think is when this is hitting, is they are changing the Prime Gaming subscription payout model to be a fixed rate for each country.
For the first time in history, in the history of Prime subs, a Twitch Prime sub will no longer be worth a normal sub.
Yes.
Anywhere. So they are starting the machine up that will eventually, slowly over time, strongly devalue Prime subs. Yeah. Which, to be clear, we've all say has been coming for years. So this isn't new.
Yeah.
The first kind of hack they're taking at it is regionally, which is an easy win. That's low-hanging fruit for global money-saving mechanisms like Prime subs. So you just make everything regional. Immediately, that's going to put huge cuts in the program. But on top of that, if you look at, say, the United States value of a Prime sub, even that's dropping. So even the places where theoretically it should be the most, like it should be fine, the news here is that the ceiling, how much a Prime sub can be worth, is being reduced by over 10%.
Yeah.
So it's, just under 10%? What's 25 cents of 250? I'm bad at math.
I'm not fucking doing math on that.
5%?
Okay, it's 10%. You're right.
Is it 10%? Oh, it is 10%. 25, 250.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. But anyway, they're dropping the value of Prime subs hard by 10%, and then further depending on where you are regionally. And there are some cases where if you are a regional streamer to some of these areas, and your primary subs consist of those regional subs,
Yeah.
like your stuff could drop by like 50 to 80%. Like if you stream in, if you are a big streamer out of,
I mean, Turkey's the one
Turkey.
that, yeah.
yeah. And I mean, you have 5,000 subs in Turkey because, you only speak Turkish, and that's the subs you got. Well, your Prime sub is going to take a nosedive. Your entire income is going to take a nosedive.
Yeah.
Depending on that. So now, granted, if I'm not mistaken here, JP, and help me out here, they already did a regional pricing adjustment at some point. Was that
On
for
normal
regular subs? That was
Yes.
normal subs.
On,
Okay.
on
This
just
is the
like a
first.
straight
They're
up-
moving that over to Prime subs.
Yep.
Man, I tell you, they should have done the Prime sub stuff then, and it would have been like a big Band-Aid, and I think it would have been a lot smoother, to be honest. But see, here's the big thing. Here's the big thing. When they released these 3 guidelines, so many people came to me and were like, "Hey, Co, did you see the news from Twitch? Pretty good, right?" You guys hear that? Yeah, it's something right above me. I'll go deal with that in a second.
Oh, okay. I thought
yeah,
that was
sorry, that's me.
I
That's
thought
me.
you were
No,
just like
apparently
hammering on your
someone
desk.
has decided that a chair needs to be moved right above my head. So I'll go deal with that in a second. Let me get this thought out real quick. If you look at so many people came to me and said, "Hey, did you see the update from Twitch? Really good stuff, right?"
Yeah.
And I don't mean like one person did that. I mean like 15 to 20 people over the course of the day when it came out. Like, "Hey, what's Code think about these good new changes? What's Code think about these?" So let me make this clear. There is no real good news in that article at all.
The 100K cap.
No,
You don't think that is?
not even that.
Why's that?
And let me tell you why.
Please.
Because they made that problem. You can't
Sure.
count that. You can't say it's
okay,
good
yeah.
news. You can't say they're delivering good
Oh.
news when they're just removing something they put in.
That is
Like
true.
that's not good news. That's them literally creating the problem and then solving it and being like, "Look what we did. We're great. We
It's
took, you
very,
can't."
Yeah.
It's mafia.
no.
It's mafia style.
It's very
like,
mafia style.
hey,
That's right.
You got a nice shop here. Be a shame if someone would come in here with baseball bats and break
It's very
it up.
similar.
Maybe you
Same-
pay us for protection.
Oh no.
Exact same thing.
We're never
with
getting
the
another
news-
Twitch employee.
I never again. But it's the exact same. It's the exact same thing with the affiliate, the new stuff for the affiliate and stuff like that. It's like cool. It's easier for them, but it didn't exist before you put limitations on it recently.
Sure.
So
yeah.
it's like yeah, this is kind of good news, but it just makes it a little better than the bad news you gave us months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Now,
it's
tell me why
it's
the
really
expanded-
strange.
why
It's really
expanding the
strange to
Partner
me.
Plus program is bad.
Because we wouldn't need the Partner Plus program if they had just not put all these limitations in the first place. The whole purpose of the Partner Plus program
Like they
is
created
they
the
are
problem.
they
yeah.
are creating this thing because they didn't give everyone what they wanted back in the day. Instead, they were way heavy with it, and now they're kind of slowly going back to where it was. Except we're not even back to where it was, and they're like, hey, look at us, we're doing well. And it's like the problem here is. This would be a totally different thing if this wasn't supposed to be out there as a win. Like, it's one thing to have a conversation with your community and they're like, "Hey, we know we screwed up at the beginning. We're working towards a place that we can both be happy. Here are some more concessions to try to get us there. Like, we're working with you to try to make this better." But instead, we kind of have this big thing that came out. And what was this in response to? These 3 things were in response to bad news, if I remember properly. Or
This
some
was
other
right
news
after
that
the
wasn't.
layoffs.
Right after the layoffs, exactly.
It was
So
about
this
a
is-
week
this is their-
after they announced
This
they
is
were laying off.
their layoff
their staff,
PR
yeah.
recovery program, and they're using it for that. And it's like it just again, the more you look into it, the more it's like it doesn't feel right. It just feels kind of corpo and weird, and the timing is super advantageous, and I don't know. It's just yeah. So to answer the question that I kept getting asking, hey, how do I feel about the thing? It's kind of like I'm really not good. Like the Prime stuff is going to be a cut across the board.
Yep.
Yeah, the 100K cap thing off is great, but I mean, they put that in themselves a few months ago, and it was absolutely ridiculous when they put it in. Like mind-numbing. That 100K cap, for those that don't know, that 100K cap thing was mind-numbingly ridiculous. It literally incentivized people to not work hard on their platform, that were doing the best.
Right.
So like it was like the whole premise of that 100K thing was mind-numbingly bad. And then, so reversing it is kind of like, it makes me wonder if they put that 100K cap in just so they could remove it later.
I mean,
kid you not. I kid you not.
Imagine being like like going to your doctor is like, well, you know that lung we removed on accident last time? We put that back. What? No, thank you. What?
I mean, sort of, yeah, kind of.
Where's the credit here?
Yeah, it's just a weird situation. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. And here's the thing: as people know, I like giving Twitch credit when they win. I love giving Twitch credit when they win. It's great. I just don't feel like anything in here is a win.
Yeah. Well, I think people are come June. It's going to be a pretty significant hit. That I think actually went a little bit under discussed as well when they did normal sub pricing to regional. Like that was a pretty significant hit to streamer income, but it didn't really pop up a conversation at all. So
it's one of the reasons though they delay this stuff and they announce it early. So
you forget about it.
The bad PR will kind of die down, and then it will quietly get activated behind the scenes, and they won't promote that. Yeah. And that way there won't be a big alarm bell situation, because it's not like an MMO releasing and the servers turn on and everyone's hyped. It's like it's just going to be this slow trickle of people slowly realizing over months period of time, like, wait, I'm earning a lot less for the same amount.
Yeah.
Like, and because it's not going to be like a big explosion, they're counting on it not being a big deal.
Yeah.
So
I also wonder, I'm really curious if we will, I don't think we're going to, and I'm 99% sure this doesn't exist now. Feel free to correct me. I wonder if we'll get a list of where our Prime subs are from and the breakdown of like.
I wanted to say you can do that already.
I
think you can do that with your normal subs now, can't you?
I'm not sure.
Let me see.
Yeah, but by all means, please.
I'm pretty sure you can do that with your own subs. If not, I almost feel like there's legal reasons they need to make that a thing.
That they should, yeah.
Oh yeah, like when you're getting paid, and your income is reliant on that stuff, like there has to be like that. It's weird thinking that two people could have the exact same amount of subs and be receiving different amounts of money for them, and not be told why.
Yeah.
That's weird.
There's
things about that feel illegal.
Sure.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah,
I'm serious. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's also
it's like hiding. There's laws about hiding information pertinent to your income that normal businesses have.
There's also
I'm wondering if there's stuff like that.
It's very streamer centric conversations. We'll move on in just a sec, but it's also
thanks for
weird.
bearing with us, guys.
Yeah. It's also weird because I think back in the day, streamers, I mean, I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for everyone, but people would go around and be like, oh, they have X many subs. They're generally making about this much a month. That's cool. Good for them. Now you just, who knows?
They do that.
Like,
it depends on how many subs they have in different regions. And it's soon going to matter if they're Prime or not.
Yeah.
There's going to be like this.
Well, you
huge
also,
list of
language
questions
they speak is going to be important too.
Yeah. You also start to think
regional.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Regional.
Yeah.
I would also say for any streamers that are looking to do a subathon, do it before June because earnings are going to be a lot less for those subathons after this hits, especially if you get someone from Turkey, for example. Type deal.
To answer the question, chat, is Ko okay? He sounds very frustrated. I'm just passionate about this stuff.
Yeah,
like
I
mean, this is a platform that I have devoted the last 10 years of my life to. So, like I said earlier, I love when they win, and I love when they do things that rise all boats, including their own. But at the same time, when they do things that are not necessarily wins, we talk about it, we dissect it, we're critical about it.
Yeah,
that's how we are about all that stuff. So.
Yeah.
No, am I frustrated? Not really. I mean, a lot of this stuff we kind of know is coming. Like we even also, to be clear, we know the direction it's going. So like I've said multiple times, this stuff we're seeing with the Prime stuff, this is step one. Like nobody should be surprised when we see these numbers go lower or when we see them change to a different system entirely. I'm still fully convinced that having Amazon Prime is eventually going to lead to a % off of a normal sub. There's not going to be Prime subs. I think that's on the way. But
yeah, that might earn them less than the regional stuff, to be honest. Or sorry, might cost them more.
I think it'd just be a regional discount.
Oh yeah, regional discount, sure. Yeah. That would probably be the way to do it.
But my point is that
curious.
Twitch needs to make money. We know they're not. We understand that they need to do things to get to making money. But this is that magic time where they need to do it right. Like this Twitch right now is in one of the most tumultuous positions it can be in, because it's got thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that visit it and love it every day, tens of thousands of people where their jobs are dependent on it, and they have to make really tough decisions, and they have to make more money from this point moving forward. So things have to change, and this is like one of the most important times of this company's existence and how they're going to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. We've all, or if you've been paying attention, you've heard about the profitability and stuff like that, and how YouTube wasn't profitable until blah blah blah, and Twitch isn't profitable, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Does that now color me stupid, but does that mean what exactly what I think it means? Like they're not making any money? I don't know what that like.
What it means is that just like any company, they are pouring millions of dollars into themselves for PR, for hiring, for all sorts of things.
Okay.
They are spending more money than they are bringing in. Is that the viewer's fault? Not necessarily. Is that the streamer's fault? Not necessarily. Could this just mean that they spent too much money on things that didn't bring money back in? Could absolutely mean that. Did they overhire? Obviously, because this is like their second major round of layoffs. So they were spending more money on people than they were supposed to. They've cut entire departments, which means that they were spending money in areas that weren't advantageous to them. At least they don't feel like now. And when Amazon bought them, as some ex-Twitch employees have told me, Amazon bought them and basically moved in their entire way of how a company is run thinking. Now, granted, Twitch was able to retain a lot of it, but Amazon brought in all of its corpo overhead, which is very expensive, into the Twitch sphere. So that also costs a lot of money. So the short of it is, right now, as Dan Clancy has said on his stream, Twitch, the amount of money that is made from viewers and streamers is not equaling the amount of money they spend running the company as of now. And they're doing all sorts of things to try to fix that. The layoffs were trying to fix that. The big push of ads in the last 3+ years have been a reason for that. All this stuff we're seeing with the 50-50 split and Partner Plus and now the regional pricing with Prime subs. All this stuff is to try to get them to make more money. So they can hopefully one day say, hey, we made $1 this year or something. At least didn't throw money away.
Yeah.
Which is, and to be clear, when Amazon bought Twitch, they didn't buy Twitch because Twitch was profitable. They bought Twitch because they saw ways that they could use Twitch to make more money for Amazon and hopefully one day have Twitch become self-sufficient, because they saw it was heading in a trend. It was going somewhere that it wasn't there yet. So now we're in that pipeline. We're going somewhere to hopefully be profitable. We'll just see we get there.
I didn't bring that up to like naysay or like the sky is falling, but like, because that's a trend. That's a thing for most like big companies that are profitable now. Like YouTube was not profitable for many years. I think Amazon themselves weren't profitable for the first however many.
Yeah.
And so like that's not uncommon. And also like there's banter going around about tax breaks. Like you spend more, you get more tax breaks, something like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how true that is, but
for the record, Amazon did not buy Twitch well, I mean, maybe there's some weird back-end reason, but they've never been public about using Twitch as an ad break or money pit, as you would call a company that is, that's not really a thing.
Right.
That was a weird thing that was being pushed around a while back, but it doesn't make any sense if you really think about it. So they want Twitch to succeed. That's why they're driving it into the ground from a PR perspective in some ways to try to get it there. Yeah. They are very much looking to make Twitch profitable. And for the people in chat saying Twitch is making money, that's ridiculous. Of course Twitch is making money, but they're also spending a huge amount of money. And those are the two numbers that aren't adding up. Twitch is, of course, making money, obviously, but they're also spending a giant amount every single month. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, picture it like this. Like this is how it came together in my head. It's like, okay, you start like a mom and pop donut shop or something like that, and then it becomes popular, and you want to buy another donut shop. For the next couple of years, you will not be profitable because you still owe on that the next donut shop you bought. Yeah. So that's also kind of what
another big thing that is super erroneous, and this is one of those things that you hear over and over again. But Twitch, Twitch should be profitable because Amazon owns Twitch and they're using Amazon servers. Yeah, but you realize that Amazon doesn't care that Twitch uses something that Amazon owns. They still have to account for all the resources that they're using. So when Twitch is using servers that Amazon owns, even though Amazon also owns Twitch, that's still a deficit to Twitch. Twitch is still costing Amazon, the company, the servers that are being used for Twitch and not to be sold to other people for other services. So this idea where it's like, oh, Amazon bought Twitch, so now they can just, run everything on AWS and that'll save money on Twitch. No, it's not. It's still going to cost.
It still costs.
It still costs something. It's still using resources. It's still pumping out all this video. So, and that cost is, of course, Amazon is thinking about how much resources Twitch uses and how they could be using those for other things. So it's a very strange, whenever I see that argument, it's kind of like, no, like just because Amazon owns Twitch and their own servers does not mean that all of a sudden that zeroes out the cost of the servers. Yeah, that's not how that works at all.
You're still
if anything, that just means John Bezos is going to be knocking on Twitch's door and say, hey, you're using all of this AWS bandwidth and throughput, yet you're not making me a lot of money. That needs to change. Like that, if anything, that we need to do something about this. So, because you're using my resources.
Yeah.
But yeah, John Bezos, that's Jeff's brother.
Everyone knows that. Yep.
And I apologize for anyone who I made crave donuts. I apologize.
Ooh.
Ooh.
What are we talking? What's y'all's favorite donut? What are we doing here? Let's get a little palate cleanser. What's the go-to donut? The goat.
Okay.
The goat donut.
I have the goat donut for me is very specific. It has to be fresh. Like I'm talking like within a few minutes out the oven, glazed Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme.
Like, there is no other donut that is like warm, fresh out the oven.
Yep.
However, if you're talking about just the donut itself,
just
like
the
non-specific donut,
yeah,
I love a good cruller, like the tractor tire ones.
Yeah.
They look like tractor tires.
More room
crullers,
and
they're spongy. Oh, so good.
Those are good.
That was the big thing for crullers. That was the thing. They made them so they have more surface area, so you can get more glaze in them.
Ah,
they're sweeter and
that
better.
makes sense.
Oh, so good.
That makes sense.
So good. Crullers.
I
are so
recently,
good.
like in the last couple of years, got introduced to Cronuts.
That's true.
Only one place,
Cake donuts,
one place in town makes Cronuts, which is a croissant and a donut mix.
Oh, that's. I thought a cronut was a cake donut, a croissant donut. Okay.
Wait.
Yeah, croissant donut. But because if you ever you could see like the flaky like layers in it and shit.
Yeah.
It was crazy how good it was because there's only one place in town that I can get them from, and I was like, I've never tried a cronut, and I bit into it, and I was like,
they're
what
dangerous.
the fuck?
They're dangerous.
This black magic that you're putting in my mouth.
How have I never heard of these?
They're great. Yeah. You got to get them.
However, they're about $5.50 a piece. 550 calories a piece. So
what's a
calorie? Don't have a lot of them.
You got to be careful about the calories for sure.
I had no idea about Cronuts.
Yeah, my brand loyalty there, Zeke, growing up in South Texas, is Shipley's Donuts. I don't know if you've ever had that before.
Sure,
but that's where I've been. It's old Shipley's. They do. Oh God, now I'm blanking on the term. They do kolaches, if you know what that is, which is not really. It's not a donut at all, but they use the donut batter. It's like a pig in a blanket type deal, but
nice,
but fancier. Yeah,
okay.
That's where I go.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Round Rock Donuts is obviously like a staple in North Texas, but those are like, you don't want to eat those every day.
Hey,
those
ready?
are like,
I'm going to piss off.
Those are like 1,500 calories a donut. You got to be careful.
Yeah. All right, ready? I'm going to piss off an entire country.
Okay, let's do it.
Oh,
I went to Timmy's.
Oh. Not good? Yeah. Okay. Tim Hortons, yeah. I don't know if that'll piss him off. I think Tim Hortons is just like the safe, right? Like
it is. It really is.
It's like the McDonald's.
I don't know
if
anybody's going to defend it like they defend In-N-Out or something like that.
I don't know about that. Yeah. I was going to say, if you walk around here and you're like, man, I love McDonald's. People are kind of like,
maybe. McDonald's is
like,
safe. Yeah. I can go to any McDonald's anywhere in the U.S. and pretty much know what I'm going to get. That's how I feel about McDonald's.
Okay. Pretty much anywhere. Period.
I mean, I went to McDonald's in Japan.
That's probably great.
While there are added items to the menu, and it's not all exactly the same, those motherfucking fries are exactly the same.
Yeah.
And that's why people keep coming back to McDonald's, because the burgers, if you like fast food burgers, their burgers are good.
Yeah.
But their fries.
The fries are good. They're tasty. Anyways, let's talk about some other
video
game related stuff. Where do we want to go? There's been a decent amount of stuff. Zeke, I'm actually let's just open this up. Suicide Squad. Have you played it, Zeke?
Oh,
did you jump into
I
that at
haven't.
all? Do you have any?
No, I've
Okay.
been like I just got done with CD-ROM-A-THON, so I wasn't playing
Yeah.
anything but CD-ROM games. Yeah.
Okay.
And in my off time, I was playing Palworld.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Co and I both did sponsored streams for it. I finished the single player. I don't think, just judging by what I saw on your Steam playtime, you did not go back to it after said sponsored stream, right?
Nope.
No plans at all?
Well, no, the problem is I have multiple giant open-ended games I'm playing currently.
Sure.
So like I'm not really trying to jam in more. Like
Yeah.
I've actually got a Baldur's Gate 3 honor mode run that I just defeated the Goblin Camp. Like, you know, it's actually cruising along. And then like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, you could like Luke and his Tauntaun, you could, you know, cut open and live in for 5 years if you wanted to. So that's been a thing. But no, going back to Suicide Squad, I definitely got a bit influenced by Twitter before I came into this game.
With a negative opinion?
I heard a very negative opinion.
Sure.
Actually, I saw that there were a lot of issues with the review keys and not all of them favorable. I saw a lot of UI stuff, a lot of just a whole bunch of complaints. So when I was originally supposed to, when I heard about the sponsorship, I originally was like, you know, I'm kind of lukewarm on this. And they were like, well, the devs want you to play with like Sacril and Dan and Chelsea Bites. And I was like, oh, you know, I've never met her and I love those guys. So sure, let's do it. Then funny enough, there was this whole big scheduling thing where I was not able to play with them. I ended up having to play solo.
Oh.
So I did my 2-hour stream solo, and it let me just kind of focus on the game and what it was. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad.
I left with much better feelings about it than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be like a mess. I thought it was going to be a huge, you know, like problematic. I thought every single line of dialogue was going to be eye roll inducing and not funny. I was expecting to have a bad time, to put it bluntly, especially since I was playing solo. When they told me I was having to play this solo, I was like, oh, like that, you know, I was really hoping to play, like I said yes to play with my buds, but you know, okay, that's fine. But sure enough, no, if I didn't have 2 other open-ended playthroughs right now, I'd probably play some more of it. It's now granted, I do need to make clear, I only played it for 2 hours and I did not get to the itemization or the mission structure, which I've heard are 2 pretty not great points. But what I did play,
it's a weird game.
Pretty. I liked the world. I played King Shark. He was fun. I really didn't like how fast it switched perspective in combat. That was a little nausea inducing. I feel like that could have been designed so much better. That was like a big design fail in my opinion. But the commentary, I'm not a big Marvel guy. I laughed out loud more than a few times. Like there were a lot of like pretty quality one-liners. That you know,
DC comic book guys.
No. I'm saying Marvel. Same thing.
I'm just helping you.
When I say I'm not a Marvel guy, that everyone should know what I'm talking about, and I don't even know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Okay, so yeah, I mean I'm not a comic book guy. Is probably what I should have said.
Yeah.
So you know, I didn't have high hopes for that. But again, there were many times in this that I found myself either smiling or in some cases just outright laughing.
Yeah.
So
now
yeah.
I've only heard, like, seriously, are people only playing King Shark and Harley? Like, is that it? Like,
no, not at all. I think
the other guys are very basic.
Here,
I mean, Harley is Harley, and King Shark's a giant shark god, and then you have like guy with boomerang and guy with gun.
Captain Boomerang.
Well, it's Captain Boomerang's son, technically.
He's like, everybody underestimates Captain Boomerang, but he's like the cowbell. Like, you gotta play the hell out of it.
I mean, I think that's like one of the issues with the game is I got asked a lot because I ended up finishing the game, so I had streamed it.
Did you? Okay.
It was.
How did it take you?
It was It was about 11 hours, I think. I mean, I can look at my Steam thing to give you the exact number. It was 12 and a half hours is what I spent in that game. A little bit of that was in the post game, and a little bit of the story. Like towards the very end, they basically say like, "Go invest in our game as a service before you do the final mission." and that was a little bit like off-putting.
Wait, what? What?
Yeah,
What does that
so
even mean?
I mean it's major. The game as a service part of the game at the end game is directly related to the story. And you know what?
Okay.
I'm okay saying this. If you're worried about a spoiler for the end of this game, mute, I guess. But I'm just gonna say it. It has to do with multiverse shit. And like that's gonna make a lot of people mad because they don't like multiverse shit. Co being one of them. But yeah, it's multiverse stuff. It's literally you've done this once, go do this 13 times, perhaps over the course of, I don't know, the next 12 months. You could do this, maybe just thinking about it. And so like that was a little bit off-putting. But I agree with Co 100%. Like the dialogue in the game is fun. I found myself laughing multiple times. The issue though, which kind of gets to what Zeke was saying, is like, I find the four playable characters some of the least interesting characters. They have great dialogue, but like they're just not. I'm not jazzed to go play Deadshot. Like that's just like, and I found myself multiple times during the actual story. You're like watching these like huge characters in like media and comic book lore with like so much backstory, which is very well done. And like there's so many just small like nods to comic book lore throughout the entire game. You're watching them fight, or you're hearing them fight, or you're hearing like, oh, Superman's doing this, oh, Batman's doing that, or Wonder Woman's doing that. And you're like, man, that sounds so cool. What am I doing? I'm escorting a fucking truck. Like, why am I escorting a goddamn truck for the fourth fucking time through this map? I want to see this fight.
Someone in your chat, Dark Hole at itmeJP, said the gameplay loop of this game is insulting, and I'm guessing that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, well,
it's like that may be the mission structure thing I was hearing.
It
about.
is.
Now,
yeah.
I'd love to hear like what is it? Why is the mission structure thing so bad?
You do the same thing in the opening of this game that you do at the end of this game. For the 12 hours I played, I never did. I was shooting purple guys and getting armor by shooting their legs and then left clicking to get my shields back. I did that for 12 and a half hours to get through the story. Like, that's a little bit reductive to the actual thing, but that's all I was doing. Like there was,
that's it.
Yeah. Like there was not
very one-dimensional gameplay.
Yeah. It's like, or there's like there's a plant and you have to go and like defend the plant point, or escort the truck, or they do some missions where they were honestly the more annoying missions, but it's like, you actually can't do damage to this creature unless you crit it. And so then you have to like figure out how to get around that. Most of the time shooting them in the head or freezing them or something like that. But it was just like very much the same thing for everything that I played. And by the end of the 12 hours, I was very much like, I'm good. That's not to say there are plenty of people that want that from this game and want that from games in general. And are, playing right now after grinding for multiple hours on all the end game stuff. But yeah, for me, it's like, I want to see more of that. I want to see like more Wonder Woman and Superman on the screen doing Wonder Woman and Superman shit, because that's awesome. That's like the highlight of the game for me, is when you actually get to interact with them and just like see them. Because they are written very well in this game. For all of that stuff. The boss fights, Code, did you get to a boss fight in your first 2 hours? I don't know if you did.
I don't think so.
The boss fights are a little bit rough. Rough in the sense that they're not super interesting. And I think for the, at least for the end game, the final boss, it actually reuses one of the earlier boss fights. And I think that's kind of how it's going to work as a game as a service, is you're going to end up doing that. But yeah, that all said, while I think I'm very critical of the game in that regard, it's fine after that. Like, it's perfectly serviceable in terms of just running around, shooting people, grabbing some friends. you're gonna have like a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 time. Like, it's fine in that regard. But if you're wanting, I think this is where a lot of the pedigree of Rocksteady actually works against them in this regard. If you're wanting the next Rocksteady game, the next
You're wanting
Arkham,
the next Batman Arkham,
the next Arkham
yeah.
game, this is not it, and it is very far from all of that. Even though it takes place in the same universe as the Batman Arkham games, it takes place about.
It's
5
also
years
a
after
really tough sell when you're kind of riding off the back of insanely quality games like the Batman Arkham game, which funny enough, this game just made me want to play more.
Yeah.
But then you're charging $70.
$70 is very hard to swallow.
Trying to get more money out of your players before they finish the game.
Yeah.
It's like you don't even let them finish the game and you're already trying to pump them for cash and you just spent $70 on it.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I have to admit, I promise you that someone got to that part and just turned it off and uninstalled it.
Probably.
Like, after paying $70 to have that kind of thrown in your face, like that's.
Well, before Friday, it was $100 for early access to dive into the game. It was $100.
Another.
And then Friday when it launched,
thing.
then it was a $70 game. Which that is, that people would join the stream like, hey, is this worth $70? And I was like, look, $70 is worth 70 is worth different to different people, but like, no, probably not.
Here's what I would say. $70 for you said 10-hour game?
Yeah, 10 to 12
hour main story. Now, granted, and here's the thing. If you say, well, it's only 10 hours and there's also going to be a bunch of post-game content, it's like, no, that's what you're paying for the live service. You don't count that for the 70. Like, they're going to be pumping you for a different amount of money for that. So what I'll say is, when you're talking about a game, it's 10 hours long, $70, then you start talking about, well, how much am I paying per hour? It's like $7 an hour, right? Or gameplay that never really changes, that never really gets more interesting. Apparently, they still try to pump you for cash more before the end of it. Like that, man. That's
survival game people are laughing,
hard sell for $70.
They're like, I could get like,
dude,
like, I could get Palworld and Enshrouded for 60.
Yeah, that's
right.
And I have hundreds of hours. Whee!
Totally. And Zeke, what you just said was the exact point I was trying to make. Is you look at something like this and say 10 hours of repetitive gameplay for $70, or I could go get the new, like Enshrouded, Palworld, Like a Dragon. I think is Like a Dragon cheaper because I mean it's got what 200 hours.
Probably.
If you're interested in maybe 20xing that time.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it's definitely a little not good.
Yeah,
not good. Oh, it's $70 too. Well, at least it's worth it in that case.
But
yeah, somebody just said Baldur's Gate 3. I know, right?
There's a bunch of games.
You could get this or Baldur's Gate 3.
There's a bunch of games you can tie to, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, when you ask if, like, I wanted to bring that up. When you ask if something is worth it or not, I remember a long time ago when we were talking about that on this show, and it was years ago, and Ko said, like, he brought up, like, the $1 per hour, $2 per hour thing, and I'm like, that's actually not a bad, like, it's not definite, but it's like a good, like, base to go off. Like, can you get $1 or $2 per hour of enjoyment out of the game? And if not, if it's less than that, less or more money per hour, is it impactful enough to make it worth it? Because some games are short, but they are experiences, like shorter, like art as video games, like games like Gree or Viewfinder or something like that, like the ones that really, like, you know, blast you with a lot of really cool shit, but in a relatively short amount of time.
Somebody just mentioned something in my chat I find hilarious. I spent more time doing the Dundoku Island minigame in Infinite Wealth than you spent playing this entire game.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could, the argument there is like I was playing a AAA story with voice acting and you were probably like looking at spreadsheet. Essentially.
Nope. AAA character. No, what's Quad A? We're going with Quad A.
No, you're saying the Dundoku side story game is Quad A. That's where we're going. That whole thing that's what I'm saying.
What's 5A? Is that a
don't know.
thing? Because it should be for this
Sure.
conversation.
Sure.
No, I will say, was it AAA cutscene game? Absolutely not. Was it incredibly fun? Actually had huge progression mechanics.
Sure,
And
yeah.
and had more actual Animal Crossing mechanics than Animal Crossing? Then yes. Like so no, yeah, as somebody said, it took Ko going to Japan to play Nintendo games. But yeah, no, it's because I had to play.
No,
my
I got you.
Animal
I got you.
Crossing,
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was funny too at the time.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it is crazy to think about the value comparison when you think about like all the different things and ways you can spend your money in gaming, like to get that amount of quality hour time out of it. It's very different for other people.
Yeah. Yeah, not much more to say. I don't have plans to revisit it. If they put out like story stuff, maybe, but I enjoyed the time that I spent with the story of it. I enjoyed story aspects of it. I was listening to Greg Miller from Kind of Funny, and it really resonated with me. He was basically saying like you can walk into the Daily Planet and you can see all of the like, small comic book nods. You can go up to all the like the smallest characters in terms of importance in the DC world. Jimmy Olsen's desk, blah, 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 blah. Go up and like see all these little like nods to them, right? And that's great. But then you walk outside and the game just starts to fall apart. And like that love, so to speak, is not there. The soul is what I think he said exactly. Like the soul is not there. And that really, I agree with that like 100%. It's just, I want more of what is in these small moments of this instead of the like game as a service moments. It really started to bug me where it's like, God damn it, there's going to be so many games as a service things. And then we can lead into our next story because the next day, due to the Griffin Gaming Partners and Rendered VC, released a 2023 game development report where they spoke with 500 studios, a little bit over 500 studios. And the report said that 95% of the studios surveyed are developing or maintaining a live service game. So we're going to get a lot more of whatever the live service thing is, because 95% of these 537 development studios around the world are working on some sort of live service thing. Always online games moving forward. Very scary.
What is this you're talking about?
Okay, I'm gonna repeat what I just said.
No. I'm saying like what was the exact name? I didn't see that report.
The Griffin Gaming Partners and Rendered VC released the 2023 game development report. GameIndustry.biz was the first to report this, and then it got picked up by pretty much everyone else. But yeah, a little scary. I don't know if they specify what exactly.
Okay. So they're just for the record, they weren't interviewing like little indie devs. They were interviewing like Electronic Arts, Bandai Namco, From Software. Okay. So it made it sound like that like 95% of devs in general were making live service games. That's what made me be like, what are you talking about?
No.
Like all the major companies are making at least one.
I think they might list them somewhere. But yeah, the short of it is we're gonna get a lot more of like always online type games. This is not.
Oh, also 65% of studios are actively working on one, and 30% plan to release regular updates cadence for their games. I think it means 30% of the 65. So 65% of all they do are actively working, and then 30% of all they interviewed are planning releasing regular update cadence. So I think it's potentially 65, not 95.
I mean, I'm reading 95.
Unless I'm reading something different.
I will read directly from said article. The report states that 95% of studios surveyed are developing or maintaining a live service game. That means that just over 500 studios are currently making or working on some kind of Destiny-like video game and probably demands an always online connection and features seasons and battle passes too. According to the
Okay,
survey, 66% of studios agreed that live service is necessary for long-term success of a video game. The report also says that non-live games now take about 2 to 3 years to develop. Meanwhile, live service titles can take more than 5 years. It further explains that the majority of live service developers are working faster than ever to create enough content to satisfy players and keep them hooked. Quote, across the industry, live service teams reported their ideal production schedules as weekly to bi-weekly for live op cadences and bi-weekly to monthly for game content updates. In the context of game development, which typically spans multiple years, live service production schedules are moving at breakneck speed. For someone that broke down the report, but
Cool.
yeah,
Isn't the pitfall that like you spend all this time making a live service game, and if no one fucking likes it, you're just kind of dead, right?
yeah. I mean, you have like the Avengers situation, potentially
Well-
the Suicide Squad situation, right?
The thing about a live service game, though, is that the premise is that you are working on it, delivering, get paid. Work on it more, deliver, get paid. Work on it, deliver more, get paid. So if a live service game comes out and it flops, well, they probably haven't made a lot of the. I mean, the whole point of a live service is that you're essentially getting an unfinished product.
Right.
You are getting something that's not done. So, and they're going to put in more doneness, and they're going to charge you for it. So the idea is that if you release a live service game and it flops, well, they're just not going to put in the rest of the resources to finish it or get it to a point. They're not going to keep developing for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's in some ways a lot safer than like a full game, because if you spend X amount of money on a live service game, you release it and it completely flops, then you can just cut putting any future resources into it. So.
For these live service games, do the profits come in the form more of like battle pass type stuff or pay modularly type stuff?
I would think probably pay modularly, but the battle pass is the quote easy sell, right? But most of the money comes from like, here's a new skin, or in the case of like a Genshin Impact style live service games, like here's a new character that you can purchase type deal. Those are like the big money gets for sure.
And some people in chat are saying, well, they don't release unfinished games. It's like, no, I mean, you can say that, but at the same time, when a game is being developed and the game is planned as a live service game, they are planning 9 times out of 10 to release a large, meaningful future content before the game comes out. So in that case, you are literally designing a game where you are designing big core parts of it that are not going to be in the game they pay for at launch, that they are then going to charge for later.
Yeah.
So unless
But
it dramatically increases the scope or something, which it doesn't generally, they're not like expansions and stuff. It's generally just little stuff they charge you for. Then I think it's a real easy argument to make that they're saving resources doing it that way and releasing games that aren't in their final state as base products.
It brings up the idea of like live service games that we all know of, like Destiny, for example. Like that game is never finished until it's Destiny 3 time or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Take a game like Warframe. Like Warframe, when it released, it was a not very good. Same with Path of Exile. Those games released actually unfinished. And as live service games are, they've been producing. They even remade the beginning of Warframe years and years later because they were like, yeah, that was terrible. So we've completely remade it. And that's frequently happens, like revamping the new player experience and stuff like that. So, I mean, I say unfinished, but I don't mean that it's missing features or buggy or not working properly. I mean that it's not feature complete. I mean it's unfinished in the ways where it's like traditionally you would jam all that into one product and that would be your release. That's what you do 20, 30 years ago. But these days you plan on not putting things in the base game. And that way you can sell it to the player later instead of including it in the base game. And they have those roadmaps out, probably at least a year or 2 plus when the game comes out. That a lot of times that stuff's in the design doc before the game's even made. Like, on year 2, we're going to do this. On year 3, we're going to do this. So it's like, the idea that the base game would be the finished product doesn't even make sense in a live services.
Yeah. The end of the roadmap would be release the game.
The end of the roadmap is turning the servers off.
Release the game is like the 4th stop on the roadmap. And then the 20th stop.
Yeah. And the final nail in the coffin for any live service game is when they are either 2 things. They turn the servers off or they stop making new stuff for it. And if you're not making new stuff for live service game, it's just wasting money. So,
Yeah.
like that's, unless they have like a real good reason for keeping it on, like flooding it into another product.
Which
And
does happen, yeah.
it's wasting money.
What else is in news? It was funny how quick I was to think of when I saw this news. The Embracer Group has canceled a Deus Ex game that was apparently in development for 2 years. They were getting ready to start production this year, I guess, on that whole thing. But they canceled it.
JP, can you hand Co a tissue?
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Here.
I have joked.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Here you go.
Here you
Oh, thank you so much.
Here you go.
Oh, thank you.
Here's-
I don't. That's weird. Oh wait, you're over here. Sorry, change color, but
No,
thank you
that's
so
fine.
much. That
That's
was
fine.
the worst.
Okay.
You know,
Anyway.
the internet will do that.
Yeah, they'll fix it in post. It's fine. So yeah, the part that makes this sting so much is this means for 2 years I was joking about a Deus Ex game showing up at and it was actually being made. It was actually a real thing.
Gonna happen.
And what's even crazier is they canned it right before they went into production, which means we probably would have heard the announcement this year for the new Deus Ex game. And yep, sure enough, they cut it. The only thing about this, and it's not really a silver lining, but it does take the sting out a little bit, is Elias Tefexis publicly stated he had nothing to do with that Deus Ex product. And another thing that I've said multiple times is there's no question that the next Deus Ex game should be the finished planned trilogy game of Adam Jensen's saga. The entire thing of Adam Jensen was supposed to be a trilogy. And when you finish Mankind Divided, you can tell they're setting up all the dominoes for a big finale. Like if you're paying attention and you like are following who the big bad is, and the people you're killing are not the big bad, and like you're working your way towards him, like a lot of people feel Mankind Divided ended too early, but it's because they were saving all this big end stuff for the third game that we never got. So yeah, the fact that the Deus Ex game was not, at least not yet involving Adam Jensen, well, it was the only thing that would have made me super angry is if it turned out that was the purported remake of 1, which a lot of people like were hinting that they were doing a full remake of 1 and that they were going to release the reboot / remake of 1 and then follow up with the game that connects Adam Jensen to Deus Ex 1, which would have been, again, amazing. That would have all worked. And, then the third game could have just been the timeline between Adam Jensen and Deus Ex 1, JC Denton.
Yeah.
But now nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
The whole thing's dead.
Yeah.
So,
You think we ever see another one of those?
I think Square Enix destroyed the Deus Ex franchise, and that out of nowhere we got a chance with Embracer. Embracer has now, due to lots of reasons, completely screwed up. They're probably going to either split or get bought at some point. I mean, they're dying. Embracer's dying. Like that company it's literally, we're publicly watching a slow death of a major company.
Yeah.
So they are either going to most likely sell this studio. The worst thing that they could do is close the studio down instead of selling it, because then it's like, that's just going to break up the team. But the not so worst thing we might see is an IP sell-off. And if they get like a bunch of things together and give it to companies that actually want to make them. Do I think we're not going to get another Deus Ex game? I'm hopeful that we will one day. I'm just super disappointed that our best chance turned out to be a flop.
Yeah.
But I think there's enough passionate people that want another Deus Ex game that I think one day we will get one.
Fair enough.
I'm still optimistic.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But Embracer, man, they expanded too quickly.
God, yeah.
They had the deal of their lifetime fall through. And ever since that happened, they have just been slowly dying.
Yeah.
And it is so hard to watch.
Yeah.
We're only in the middle of it. For those that don't know, like we're only like Embracer is still looking,
sure.
after everything they've done, they're still boiling in water. So like we're gonna see other major stuff from them probably this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was also stated at the same time that 97 people were let go from Embracer. Quote, due to the global economic context, the challenges of our industry, and the comprehensive restructuring announced by Embracer. So,
Comprehensive restructuring.
yeah.
At least it's not normal restructuring.
Yeah. Just that. not good there. On the flip side of games doing well, hey, that Palworld game's pretty big, you guys.
Doing all right.
12 million copies sold. That's copies sold and 7 million played on Game Pass. So they're at 19 million people are playing that game-ish right now. Probably Monday we'll see something about 20 million. Fucking crazy. Absolutely fucking crazy. I thought it was going to be big. I never thought it would be that big. Like it's what, the third biggest game. They said the third biggest Game Pass game launch ever. I think it's number 2 on the all-time Steam played list of all time with concurrent users. Just an absolute, to steal from my chat, it's a juggernaut right now. It's just so stupidly huge. And it doesn't really have signs of like dying off. The numbers are still super strong. I spent like 75 hours with it, I think, in all on stream.
God damn.
And then at the end of all that, there was a bug where it was just deleting characters on dedicated servers. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll have to play more Palworld someday. Like, I didn't even
you got hit by it?
I got hit by it, and I was like, cool, I guess I'll just play more Palworld at some point. It's fine. Not that big of a deal. Not that upset about it. So, yeah, very excited to see where that game goes. That's a huge influx of cash for that team. Wasn't it also, I think there was a report that it costs, was it 6 million to make or 60 million to make? Some like very low amount to get that game out where it is. So 6.5 million. Okay. That's crazy. Zeke, I know you said you were playing it offline. How goes your Palworld adventuring?
It goes great. You said 75. I was like, I thought I put in some numbers like already, but I'm at 69 hours.
Nice.
And it's great. It's the thing that I would like. There's a few things. First and foremost, I want to make this super important. Super important for anybody who like can shout out the word, preach the gospel. I'm going to tweet about it probably later. Please, for the love of God, please allow me to move shit in my own base. Please. Because as it stands right now, you have to dismantle it.
Yeah.
Weigh yourself down and then rebuild it somewhere else. Holy fuck. That is just a quality of life thing that we've had forever in survival games, and it's ridiculous. It's plain up ridiculous right now. So just patch that in real quick.
Yeah, there's a lot of quality of life that it could use in that regard, but yeah.
I mean, that honestly is the most ridiculous, like outstanding one. Like, okay, I built this thing. Oh shit. I personally like to have all of my shit symmetrical or at right angles. I'm like, it's not a right angle. Okay. And I looked first time, I was like, okay, building. You got to be able to move it. You got to be Google. Can I move shit? Like IGN article. Well, you can't move stuff in your base in Palworld. You can deconstruct. I'm like, are you fucking out of your mind?
Sure.
I mean, the deconstruction system is actually pretty great. It gives you all the resources back.
Yeah, it's 1-to-1. It's quick,
yeah.
but I understand what you're saying.
I lose anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I moved my entire base in like 3 minutes, which was really great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
But Zeke is right. There should be the ability to move stuff. 100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
And a grid system. Most importantly, there should be a grid system.
Yeah.
Like so you can place things the exact distance apart and then make them all face the right. Yeah. Any game like this should have a grid system.
One more thing
for us slightly OCD people.
The first button, the left, you know how the left click button when you build should be the button where you can build multiple of the same thing. It shouldn't be right click. That's just fucking stupid, and it wasn't broken.
I agree completely.
Fix it and it wasn't fucking broken.
Sure.
Agreed. Agreed.
dumb.
And then you forget
right.
that you can build multiple, so you keep going. Like you're that asshole that keeps opening up for every single thing of the 10 things you're trying to build. And you have that guy in chat. You know you can just right click, right? You know you can just right click. I know, but my muscles don't. So shut up and let me suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 30 years, just like this, and I will continue to do it just like this. Palworld will not tell me otherwise.
Exactly.
And at the very fucking least, like, how hard is it to make everything rebindable? Is that a really hard thing to do?
Depends on the game.
Because it's not everything is rebindable in the game.
Yeah, it's not.
It's true.
I don't know.
There's
answer
a
to
lot
that,
of times. A lot of times, it depends on how the game is made, but a lot of times, especially if one command does lots of different things, they don't necessarily want to have it so like if one button, you know, fires if you're looking down right click, but it also interacts when you're in the world, but it also does this if you're in base building UI. Like changing those buttons around can lead to all sorts of like weird issues. So a lot of companies just don't let you change some of the multifunction.
Yeah,
that's okay. Okay,
that's
I mean,
relatively
fair enough.
common.
Fair enough. But and yes, for those of you who are, it's early access. I know, but I'm talking. This is basic shit. This is like basic survival game shit. Like no other game, none of the other building games that I've ever played has put the build the same thing again on right click.
Yeah, they have
just
some
seems
decisions
like-
which are strange, like that one for sure.
Yeah.
That's not the only one. The game has multiple little weird QOL/design decisions that are obviously like, this is not how this is normally done.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's
What's
also
the
doing so much
opposite of-
new stuff that it's, you know, kind of whatever.
What's the opposite of a compliment sandwich? Because that's kind of what I want to do right now. I want
Just
to.
the negative stuff right out of the front.
The
Right.
shit.
I believe they
the
call
shit
that
on
a
top,
shit
and then, like,
sandwich.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
The meat of it is it's a really fun, like, I love playing it off stream. I would like I don't play a lot of the survival building games on stream because it's a turn off the brain, just go around and like collect pals, collect resources, stuff like that. And it's got a great loop. It is it's fun to look at. It's the environments aren't all like gray and post-apocalyptic and shit like that. A lot of survival games are like that, are just like these browns and grays and stuff like that, because a lot of times you're just after zombie apocalypse or some shit like that.
Yeah.
This one very colorful, very lively. The music itself also very lively. The sound design and the music are very, very well done. Very satisfying noises when you like do something right. It's like you're like, oh, like in a casino, when you get a win, it's like hooray.
Totally.
Zeke
also
getting
the
the mobile
character
game
designs-
mechanics.
Oh yeah. No, there's a reason why
Yeah,
that shit's
yeah.
in there.
Oh,
man.
I know,
Oh,
completely.
Oh,
100%.
It's the
No.
dopamine hit, man. Yeah.
I have my eyes open. I know, like, oh, they did that. They stole that exact thing from the Sex and the City's slot machine game in Vegas. I know that noise.
Yeah, yeah.
You get to a new area and it's literally the Zelda thing where it's like,
Yep.
like seriously, it's like, was that the Zelda thing?
Dude, it's a
Was that-
constant dopamine hit. The game. I think that's why I got so addicted to it, like right out of the gate. Because I did 4 or 5 like 12-hour plus streams the week this came out, and it was probably because all of those small little dopamine hits that you guys were just detailing. Like the game's full of them, and it's fun in that regard. I also, Zeke, I'm curious, are you just like walking around exploring? Because I think that's like one of the most fun parts. I wish
I saw your map and I just brought up, I was just going to bring up, like, this game rewards exploration as far as like, if you can't build something because you're missing, like MacGuffin, like I don't know where to mine MacGuffin.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I better just kind of wander around until I find the land that has MacGuffin. And then you wander around a little bit. You're like, sometimes you find MacGuffin, or sometimes you find the Guga. You're like, oh shit, Guga, what's that?
Yeah.
And you go down there and you're like, you grab a bunch of Guga and you're like, oh man. And then you look in your like recipe list, like, oh, at level 27, I can build a Guga gun or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
And it's great. I love that. I love the games that reward exploration. And I love that this game also has progressive, faster locomotion.
Yeah.
Like, you start off with like a ground mount, like a wolf or something. You're like, oh, awesome. Because you go from walking or running to like wolf riding. You're like, oh, yeah. And then you go from wolf riding to like gliding. And you're like, oh, shit. and then you get your flying mount, and you're like, this is the way to go. And then you get faster and faster flying mounts, like until you get like your super fast ones. You're like, Jesus, how did I ever play this game before?
Yeah, until
Like,
you
before I
stumble
got
upon
this
the
mount.
jet. Yeah. The F-14 just flying through the skies. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I haven't quite got to that point yet.
I stopped
know
around
where it
level
is, but I can't.
35, so yeah, I never saw that.
I've
either.
only seen the memes of the
Yeah.
jet pal.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen the jet.
I've never saw it
I just
as
know
well.
it exists.
Never saw it in
I'm
game.
at level 38. So
I do.
but go ahead.
I was gonna say, for me, by and far, the best part of this game is doing exactly what I'm doing right now, just walking around, collecting all that stuff, and then just pulling out your fucking 9 and start dumping on something because of how absurd that. Just like there's a little Pikachu over there, and I could throw a Pokeball at it, or I could shoot it. Let's get fucking. And every time you pull out the giant deagle in your hand and just start shooting the thing, it's the most absurd, but also the like stupidest, greatest, like, fuck yeah, video games are cool feeling I felt in a long time.
Yeah.
It's so silly.
I love that you're like, okay, I'm using a bow, I'm using a spear, I'm using my fucking Glock 20. Now, like, you just upgraded. It's like,
just so
pow,
silly.
pow, bitch. Guess I'm riding the Firebird, so I got fire bullets.
Yeah, or like when you get to some of the later ones, and you're like, oh, I'm like this giant panda guy who's all about like peace and grenade launchers.
Yep.
And he just
I
started
love all the-
obliterating. It's so
All the
stupid.
shit that the pals get.
Yeah,
I like that's the one, like, I love the technology system where, like, it's not only upgrade for you, they have a good mix. And the thing that I really enjoy that not a lot of games do, survival games do, is that there's choice. You don't have to buy the decorative shit, because I'm not.
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
I don't buy any of the lamps or any of the wall hangings or anything like that. You don't have to, though.
Yeah.
You can just skip past those and you save your points. And it's actually beneficial to do so if you want stuff later on, because you save those points that you would have spent. And I like that. I really, really like that.
Yeah.
Someone in my chat said, now, God, I hope this is like true, because it felt true. OGY for my chat said PSA life monk effigies, which are those little green things that you get that boost your capture ability, right? Apparently decrease your capture chance. Seems bugged at the moment, so don't invest them.
Really?
I maxed out on capture. Like, I got like all the life monk effigies that I could get and to max it out, and I didn't feel like there was a difference. Like, I didn't feel like I was capturing more.
Oh yeah.
But I was
agree.
also like, that could just be me.
Chat just said
No,
they
no,
fixed
no.
it in an update, but yeah.
Yeah, it was in the first
Okay.
few days. I remember when I was going after like a specific enemy, and then I had one F to catch and a specific pal, and I caught a bunch of them. And then I went to I found a life monk effigy that was my last one, and I took it back. It was the final one I needed for an upgrade. Got the upgrade, came back. My chance was identical when I left.
Yeah.
So like I don't, if it was working before the patch, it didn't seem like a lot.
Didn't show it.
Chat is now saying the last patch apparently fixed it.
Cool. Well,
Oh
hey,
no! I'm sorry. Hold on, Scarecrow. Nope, it's not fixed yet.
No, not
Fatty,
fixed
no,
yet.
it's still bugged. Oh, the Game Pass version is apparently behind on updates.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of the big.
So maybe that's
things
why
right
there's
now.
confusion.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
some people are saying it's fixed, some are not, because it may be doing different versions.
Yeah. The Game Pass.
But even
version
then, chat is
still
saying
behind.
that they fixed respec. So that's fixed at least.
Okay.
That was the one where if you respec, it would respec your PAL capture stat, but you could then not raise it anymore. So if you at any
Oh,
point respect before the last patch, basically nerfed your character.
got it. Okay.
I don't know if you did that, Zeke, but that's what may have what. Okay, that's may have been what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it looks like capture rate is not increased.
Streamblocker for my chat said, speaking of choices, I care about my pals way more than I ever did my Pokemon, because I can choose to be cruel to them or choose to be kind to them.
God, I saw, dude.
Hey, choice, man.
Some of the like meme. I saw this giant factory, right? Someone built this huge factory, and then at the front of the factory, he has pals like hung up on the bait that you can like unlock, and then there's signage that says like stop working and this happens to you. And I'm just like, oh my God, some people are making it this way.
No, and the thing is, like, people were talking about animal cruelty and shit like that, and here I am going like, I'm like, okay, first thing I get every level is the best food or whatever to make my pals sane.
To make them
like,
happy,
to keep
yeah.
them
yeah.
the happiest they can be.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I'm, like a slave driver, like working these animals. To death.
There's
I
think
built the thingy that you makes them work harder. And
Oh,
I was
yeah?
like, because I honestly thought it was like, which would be a fucking good change, by the way. It was a thing that you could go, pal work here, instead of picking him up and throwing him at it.
Right.
I thought that podium was that. I was like, oh, great. The podium will do that. Obviously. No, it just makes them work harder.
Dude,
So I was like,
I got
oh,
trolled.
shit. Immediately deconstruct.
I got trolled so hard. Because I had my little pal base working and everything was good. And I was sitting there going like, man, like this is cool, but they're missing this like super important part of this game. Like they're literally missing an entire part of this game because you have a pal that can do multiple things, but you have no way to prioritize when he does what thing, which is it's missing that completely. And I'm talking about this. And I was like, man,
world.
I was like, man, if only every pal had its own little priority thing like RimWorld. And someone in my chat goes, oh, you just need to build the thing. You just need to build the little thing. And I was like, oh, awesome. It was like 3 levels away. So it's like 3 levels of bliss where I was just like, I just need to get a couple more levels and everything's going to be good. And then I can prioritize everyone. And then I got the thing and I opened it and it was just like work hard, work harder, or slavery. And I was just like,
yeah.
I was like, where's the box, chat? Where do I click for the box?
That was early enough.
Now,
Chat was like,
didn't know.
Now, I don't know how recently or if this was always in the game. Help me out. But when you pick up a pal, that's how you like kind of sort of assign them to a particular place.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they changed the keybind for that from
V.
F to V, which is nice.
Oh,
but
okay.
Did they add like the targeting system? Like you target a place and it says assign them here, and then you throw them at it, and then it assigns them there. So you're like targeting that place.
I don't know if they have added that. That didn't exist in my place.
No, they do. They have it now.
So that's new.
Oh,
that's
Darkro
good.
says yes, they added that, and Nemco says yep, they did add that. So
That's
that is
a
new
good change.
and it is added.
Hey, that's that's awesome.
It's a good change, but
yeah,
it's a good change.
It's a fucking priority thing.
But it's still garbage.
Yeah.
It's still like that. That's not an okay system. Like they need a priority system. Like it when you start having a huge pal base and every one of your pals can do different things, like especially for someone like me that likes to build your base to have it be like the best version of itself it can be. Exactly. You can't do that at all in the current system because you never know what job your random pals are going to prioritize.
Yeah.
The same pal, you drop 2 pals in the same place, they'll like prioritize different things. It's just like, like what rhyme or reason are you using? Like it's
you're
crazy.
3 planting.
And then the worst part,
fucking plantation. You are 3 handiwork. You make my cloth. God damn it.
And then the worst part is they have the system where you can pick a pal up and throw it on something, but then you do that, and even if there's nothing to do there, it'll just sit there waiting for work and not do the other 3 jobs it can do, and you're just like,
yeah.
And then they put in this whole farming thing where it's like, oh yeah, they'll go to the farm and passively generate stuff, but they'll be able to do like 5 other things and they just won't do anything but sit on their ass and generate resources. And it's like, no, I need you to do all the other work. And then if there's nothing to do, go sit on your ass like that, go rest if there's something, and you can't tell them to do that. So it's like any pal that has the farming thing and you have a farm, it's like useless unless you manually do it,
yeah.
which is also useless. So it's just,
yeah.
Mm.
That's my biggest hope.
That said,
oh yeah, chat is saying you need to have multiple bases. Yes, exactly.
You
need like
they
a farming
prioritize.
base and then
And you know how I know they can prioritize? Because if you have pals at your base with the handiwork skill, which is like, building stuff, if you start building, all of them will come over. Anybody with handiwork will come over and help you build that shit.
That's right.
So
it's
you
like
that it can be done in the game.
Yeah.
It's like when you set all of your RimWorld guys, to fight fires, that a fire happens. They all just drop what they're doing and run over and do it. Like they have that in the game already with building. So being able to have like a matrix and all your pals on the left side and all the jobs across the top. And then you can number them like 1 to 10 in terms, and then they just each have their own little decision tree that they go down. Like, perfect. In fact, funny enough, what you're talking about is one of the reasons I stopped playing.
Yeah,
Because that priority, I didn't really get annoyed by it, but I realized this game is not done. Like, this game is relatively far from being done. Like,
Yes,
there
I
are
agree
still
with that.
some main core things. This game's fun. I loved it. Put 25 hours into it, didn't blink. One of the reasons I did quit was definitely because I was totally sold on it, and I knew that I'm going to play this game again. Same as Enshrouded. But it's the kind of thing where there's still some like major functionality missing for this stuff to work properly and awesomely, and you can see it in Palworld right now. When they get this stuff in, this game is going to be like amazeballs. Like, it's already great, but it's going to be, as long as Nintendo somehow doesn't sue them into the ground through some loophole, like, it's going to be even better. It's going to be incredible. And it doesn't have a main story that's not in yet. Apparently there's going to be like all this connective material that leads you to the bosses, and the bosses are all going to have stuff. Like,
I didn't read it, but yeah, I would love for that connective tissue to be there for sure. That'd be so great.
It seems like cool. That the big bad bosses, the ones that are in like, you know, their towers,
the Elite Four, as it were.
Yeah. It seems like those guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's just I'm under leveled or something, but it seems like those are meant or spiritually meant or whatever to be done with more than one person. Because you see them the first time, they fucking push your poop in.
So they scale with multiple people, but they also have levels tied to them, and it's like 20, 40, 45, 50. So they're just high level is all it is. They're just high level things. And they do scale their HP. I think the first one's 40,000, and with 2 people, it's 70,000. And with 3 people, it's 120,000 or something like that. I only killed...
So just level up then.
I only killed the first 2. I didn't kill the other 2 because they have like 180,000 HP or something.
I found the first one was easy, and then I went and tried the second one.
Dude.
And I hit it like 15 times, and by the 15th hit, I saw like one little tink, and I was like, you know what? I don't need to kill this boss.
I thought you tried it 15 times.
I don't.
Yeah.
No.
I went not out of the realm of possibility, because I faced that fucker like at least 7 or 8 times before I
didn't even die to the second boss. I just hit him a few times and was like, it's not going to be fun to beat this, and just turned around.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't like I would have to go out, get about 50 times the ammo I have now, and then you know, there's just no point.
Yeah.
So
I hope they find all that stuff.
That's the other thing. That's not really the demarcation of a good enemy or a boss in a game, is like, just more bullets. Like,
just build more bullets, right?
Yeah.
That happened a lot too.
Sponges are never the best way.
Yeah, I would leave base with like 500 bullets. It's like, great, I'm good. And then like an hour later, it's like, what the fuck was I shooting? How do I have no bullets? Like, was I just shooting the sky and doing desk pop for the past hour? Like, what the hell?
Well, and it's not like I wasn't like every level up. Like, my attack is like the level ups that I've gone is probably like 15 to 1. Like 15
you put them all into attack?
The 1 in like other shit.
Oh, okay. See, I put them all in weight. So I was walking around with like 1,500 weight levels.
Yeah, sure. I thought putting more into attack would make the tower guys easier, and it did not.
Yeah, they need to like work
attack
on
is the whole leveling system is kind of janky. Like it doesn't make any the way that power progression works in the game and the amount of stats that level ups do. Like, I did 1 into attack, and then I did 1 into weight, and then every other point I had moving forward went into weight. It's like there's just no, like, if attack is going to do that little when you can get like hundreds and hundreds of extra carry weight, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So they need to rebalance that whole thing.
Yep. And I hope they do. I mean, they've got money now, so I hope all that stuff gets cranked into, you know, pushing the game through early access, and a year from now, or whenever 1.0 comes around, I hope all of this stuff is added. And it sounds like they're going to add more pals into the game, and they could maybe add more levels, introduce more stuff to unlock it. They could really do a lot with that. It could be super cool.
They do have a long way to go in terms of foundational. Like the priority stuff is big. I mean, apparently the last patch introduced, unfortunately, instead of remedying the issues, they introduced even more problems about pals getting stuck on trees and getting stuck on different parts of your base. And that is so frustrating to have that happen.
Oh,
especially
that
if you're
was
like
such
counting.
a bitch.
Yeah.
If you're counting on a resource being done, you like set it up before you go out, and then you go out exploring for like an hour, and you come home, and on the way for the first time mining it, they got like stuck on a tree or something, and you're just like,
Dude, we ran into an
Pathing.
issue, and I don't know if it got
Mm.
changed or what, but we had a mining base set up, and like dedicated servers run while you're not logged in. Like the pals are still supposed to work, to my knowledge. I don't know if any of this has changed. This is all first week stuff, so maybe stuff has changed.
yeah.
And so like we logged out, and then we came back, and none of them were working for like 12 hours, and I was pissed because I was like, where's my 500 ingots, guys? Like, what are we doing here? You guys were just slacking?
Why? I just got
The
the image of
mining
you like
thing might be a
lining your
thing.
pals up and going down
Yeah.
the line and
Oh,
like
that's
smack,
exactly-
and then
no,
walk
no,
to the next one
no.
and smack.
You line them up, and then you get the 9, and your guys, like, what are you doing? You
You're
gotta
like,
work.
I want
like-
y'all, I want every one of you pals to watch me as I do this. And you like slowly walk over to the podium, and then you set it to max work. You're like, you did this. You did this.
Yeah.
You see what you made me do?
It's
I didn't want to do it. You did.
I
it.
just love that. It's
Now-
so ridiculous. You're just walking around with like a fucking AK assault rifle in front of these pals, and like, oh yeah, I guess I'll go get that stuff out of the box, sir. Thank you.
JP walks
It
over to
might
the sign in
be-
front of his base, and you see him like erasing it, and he's like, Alcatraz.
It's so ridiculous, man.
Alcatraz,
By the way,
that's a good one.
Thank you for that
Yeah.
one,
No
chat.
way
That was
you
right
came
from
up
chat.
on. Okay.
No, Meeper77 in chat. That was all him.
Yeah. Zeke,
Like 90% of my jokes, I just lift it right from chat and don't attribute
No,
it. That
that-
time I did.
that's
I
the
got lucky that
streamer
time,
101. Yeah. Zeke,
Yeah.
what's up?
Getting back to your point, JP, like the mining thing might be a thing because my
Oh, where
pals
they don't
do
mine?
work when I'm not there, but I set up a second camp just for mining, like in a nice spot where they could do that.
Yeah.
And every time I go back and I look in the box or look on the ground, there's like nothing there,
There's nothing.
or like it's sporadically.
playing
there. Like
dedic-
they're sporadically working?
Yeah.
No, while I'm playing.
Oh, while you're playing. Okay. So
While
I
I'm
was
playing,
told
I go away and I come back and there's like nothing done, and I'm like,
I was
it's gotta be
told
bugged because the farm does stuff, all that shit does stuff.
Uh,
It's just the mining is a hit and miss.
for week 1, I was told that you actually have to delete the PAL box. I forgot
PAL
what
box?
the PAL box, I guess. Is that the term? It's
Uh-huh.
been a while. And you actually just have to rebuild the entire base. That's how you fix that. And I don't know if that is the case or what, but for a mining base, like there's not much there. I just never did it.
No,
Um,
it's bed food box.
Bed food hot
that's
tub.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, bed
Yeah,
food
pretty
hot
much.
tub box, and that's what I had. And it I might have to try and rebuild it.
So
But now
one
it
thing,
doesn't matter
if
because
they
it's
have-
so much faster for me to do it myself.
If
Yeah.
if it's a larger PAL and it has to get to somewhere it can't get to, that will bug out its AI. So if
Sure.
there's a hot tub, if your base only has one hot tub and you put it behind all these rocks it can't get through and it tries to go to the hot tub, it'll just stop.
Okay.
So if any of those, and it's so if any of the weird pathing or ground geometry and stuff gets in the way,
Dude, and some of that's
I
becomes
love
messy.
coming back to my camp and going like, oh, there's 3 people dead or whatever, knocked out. I'm like, where are they? And I look, and they're like
up in a
up
tree.
in a tree, and I'm like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah.
Did you just wander off and not like? How can you wander there and not come back? Also, like I built my base like near
it's like a cat in
little
a
body of
tree, dude.
water.
That's what it is.
Oh, would they fall into the
I
water?
built them near a little body of water. They go in the water, so I built them stairs, and they're like trying to walk into the side of the fucking stairs. No, go around. That's
Yeah.
why I built
Oh.
stairs.
That's another huge thing. You're a survival crafting building game, but if you build a freaking base, they just get stuck in it and
They
stop
have a
working.
hard
It's like that,
time, yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's another reason that I quit is because I love playing games like this because I'm a builder. I love collecting a bunch of resources and then ending on some major massive build. You can't do that in Palworld.
Yeah.
If you build anything outside of a cardboard
It's tough.
box to sleep in or a van down by the river, then they just get like stuck on everything involved. I built a literally like a 2x1. Just so I could stick a bed in it or something.
Yeah.
And I come
that's
back
what
like
ended up
4 pals would be stuck on the roof. And I'm just like, how did you even get up there? Like there's how like
doing. I've seen some like major factories, and the impressive part is not the fact that they
this is
built the
pre-patched, by the
factory.
way. I need to
Yeah, the impressive part is not the fact that they built the factory, but the fact that they sat there and made sure that their pals weren't going to bug out and work in the factory. because they're all running very well. And I don't know if that's just fixes or what, but like, I couldn't do that. As soon as I saw fucking some dumb shit, shiny sheep thing get like stuck on the corner of a building, I'm just like, God damn it. I'm never picking up another shiny. I'm never getting any boss mobs in here. They're too big. They just bug the fuck out.
So a little bit of real tip though. And somebody told me this tip right at the beginning of the game and I didn't take it because I'm an idiot. But one of the best things you can do in Palworld right now is when you put down your base, you want to put down your base so it's a big flat circle. You don't want to try to get any geometry. Find a big flat area. And then all of your resource stuff and all of your things, pick sections of your circle and build them along the outer ring.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And by doing that, like 90% of your pals will work just fine. And don't build a house. Just don't build it. If you have to build a house, build it like on the other, in a corner
Opposite
that nothing
side,
else is near. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then just build like a 1x1 and pop a bed in it if you need it.
Yep.
But if you do that, apparently things work.
That's how my
pretty
base
well.
was built.
The only big issues can happen there are the trees and the tree plot. Apparently still get
or
a
the
lot of guys
fire
stuck
in the center for whatever reason. If you put a fire in the center, they'll get stuck on the fire and actually like catch on fire. That's happened before, which is just
There
I
is
learned
also-
that when I was building the egg hatcheries, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna build another egg hatchery. Come help me!" And they're like, "Okay," and they just stand in the fire. They're like, "Bing, bing, 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 bing," just burn up and die.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Palworld's
Palworld's
great.
fun.
Even with all the issues, still great.
Look, the fact
fun.
that we talked about as much as we did, I think kind of shows how much. And it's not like we
I
have to
can't wait
sell
to
it.
revisit it.
19 million people have played that game, which is
it's fucking fun,
actually insane.
Actually insane.
Another survival game that came out was Enshrouded. I think we've all played that at one point or the other. I'll cut to some footage of you here. I think Co might have the most hours logged. Are you good with Enshrouded?
see.
Have you stepped away from it?
I've stepped away from it.
I stepped away from it with
Got about 30 hours in it.
I put 21 hours into it. I think I only put so little hours into it because I just came off of a giant Palworld binge. And there's only so much like survival games that I could play. But yeah, this game, all of the building things I think we were complaining about in Palworld, this is like the opposite, at least for me. I sat there for probably an hour just like, I am so unbelievably overwhelmed. Like you can do and build so much in this game when it comes down to the voxel stuff that I was literally begging Julia to come and build in my server. And so she did, thankfully. So I didn't have to build the thing. But it's like this game is so deep when it comes to the building stuff that I was like paralyzed with decision. I don't know if you encountered that at all, but it's way, way too deep. Oh, we got a fourth member of the show.
We do. But I don't know if you've met this little guy yet.
Oh, I haven't met him. What's his name?
This guy's Fenrir.
When'd you get him?
Like a week ago?
Oh my God, look at Fenrir.
He's our little French bulldog rescue puppy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's little Fenrir. little Fenny is what kids are calling him. But
look at that guy.
Tiny guy. Yeah, him and his litter actually, they have what are called cleft palates.
Oh.
And the person that brought them in was actually brought in all the puppies to be put down. And they were scheduled to be euthanized. And then one of the other vets at the clinic was like looked over and she was like, this is, there are times when a quality of life issue is a thing, but the puppies were like right on the border. It's like, there's a chance they may not even need surgery when they get older. But even then the person brought them in was like, nah, just don't risk it and put them down. So she actually took all the puppies, which there were 4 of them.
Jeez.
And brought them back to her mom, who was also a vet. And the mom found them all homes and we're one of the homes they found.
That's awesome. Yeah. God, I could never.
He's a cute little man.
Screw that person. they have their own reasons, but like Jesus, screw that person.
We had a very similar and funny enough, the person that saved the puppies was like, it took everything in my power not to like yell at that person.
Yeah.
When she told them like, this is on these puppies might be okay. It's easier, we should probably
just hard, cold-hearted individual. Yeah.
He's a good little guy.
Very cute.
He's doing great. Yeah, he's a good little dude. I don't know why my wife brought him here and disappeared, but looks like he's.
Well, now you're on puppy duty. He's on the
exactly.
4th member of the show today. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. So to talk about this real quick, Enshrouded, the building system is phenomenal. I don't know if you can skip around in here and get to a point. Maybe this is later in my playthrough. We can show my base. I didn't actually have a base really. what I did was I had I tried a bunch of building stuff, and I was testing a bunch of things, and actually came to the conclusion that the building system in this game is one of the best in any of these games.
Yeah.
Like, period. It's one of the best survival building games I've ever used with this building system. There are some things in this game that are amazing, but I also feel very similar to Palworld, where it's like there's some pretty important stuff missing, but there's already a lot of crazy cool things in here. I love the world. I love the exploration of the world. I really love how the crafting progression works with like finding the 5 NPCs and working through their quests and stuff like that. I feel like there needs to be a little bit more guidance there, because unfortunately it's very easy if you miss one little thing that an NPC will then not give you their progression quest. So then all of a sudden you're in like really hard areas of the world, but you haven't done your level 1 quest for your blacksmith. So all your gear's garbage. Like you're wondering like, what is going on? I've made the best stuff I can and everything's kicking my ass. And this is like the main quest. That's a little weird. But outside of that, like it's a real slick game, dude. The thing that I have to say about Enshrouded is it feels like Valheim if it was more gamified and less sandboxy. And you can still play this like a full sandbox game, but there's no question that there's so many more mechanics in Enshrouded that are kind of like designed to lead and guide you and give you rails to go on. Like, a good example of that is, all the different waypoints on the map, built-in fast travel points, the quest system in general. Like you always pretty much have an idea of what to do and where to go, which some people are going to like and some people are not. Some people really prefer the open-ended sandboxy Valheim way, where it's just like you're just making your own story. There's a crow that's going to squawk at you a few times every 5 hours, and then you're just on your own. This game is more of a game. So it's like, okay, you need to build 5 of these. Now go rescue this guy. Now go get this guy's crucible. Now go do this. Now go to this location. Now to go to here. And you feel like you're being breadcrumbed through the whole world.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like I personally like both of those, so I don't really have not really too married to either one of those because I enjoy them both. But I do feel like it's really interesting because I feel like a lot of people felt that Valheim was a little too sandboxy for their taste. I think someone like Zeke is a good example where he played Valheim for a little bit. Although you really did end up.
No, I played a lot of Valheim.
He went back like 300 hours.
Example for you.
Yeah, it's not because of story. It's because of goals. Goals.
Yeah.
Valheim has goals.
Absolutely.
Always something to work towards.
True, but those are goals you set yourself. Like a lot of times, like it's and which is one of the reasons I enjoy sandbox games so much is setting my own goals and then accomplishing them. You, Zeke, normally don't like that, right? Normally you like having some idea about what to do in a game and not just being told, here's the tools, go make your own fun.
Well, that's why I bounced off 7 Days to Die. 7 Days to Die is probably, for my money, the best constructed survival game it's intuitive. I love it. You can build with anything. You can destroy anything, blah, blah, blah. No point. It's survive. And that's just not good enough for me. Whereas Valheim, it's like, okay, beat the boss of this area, go to the next area, gather up new shit, figure out what to do with new shit, build new shit, fight new boss, next area.
Yeah.
And once the next area was done, I stopped playing. Or once there was no next area, excuse me.
Out of curiosity, like, how do you feel about a game like Enshrouded, which basically kind of holds your hand everywhere, versus a game like Valheim?
I was going to bring that up. Like in Palworld, you start off with like that tutorial, like in the upper right corner. That's like, do this, do this, do this. When that finally went away, I was like, oh, so I dig it. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
I like having shit to do and I don't mind it telling me like, do this shit.
Yeah.
As long as it's not, I guess as long as it's not over the top hand holding. If it says so, find this, great. But if it says go here, grab these 5 things, like,
Out of curiosity, have you played a lot of Enshrouded?
I played the demo and I am like, it was going to be my off-stream game. I was ready for it because I was like, all right, I'm done with, or once human is the beta is done. I have a few days to wait for Enshrouded. And then Palworld came out before that. And I was like, give it a look.
Yeah. I think Palworld in the long run probably helped Enshrouded in terms of just lifting up like everyone, whatever that fucking term is about the rising tide.
Rising
boats.
tide raises all.
Yeah,
shit.
all that shit. But I do think it was like also a slap to the hype for this because everyone is just like Palworld, and then they just kind of forgot Enshrouded was a thing. It still crossed
Honestly,
1 million though, so it's doing great.
I hate to say it. If I was the Enshrouded devs, I would have delayed by a month.
Yeah, you think that would have made
I
where
would
people
have, I would have
fall off
let
of
people,
Palworld?
I would have let people fall off of Palworld and then roared onto the scene like, "Hey, just spent 100 hours in Palworld? Ah, yeah, you like building stuff? Check our game out."
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, it's good that they got more players, which they probably did, but at the same time, I think a lot of people are still playing Palworld, and that means that they're not playing Enshrouded during its like most hyped time, which is when this stuff goes EA. So
Yeah.
you know, it's we'll never
This
know.
fight looks awesome.
This fight was awesome. In
Yeah,
fact, when I
okay.
first did this fight, I had no idea about the gimmick, and I spent like
Okay.
Wait,
Fine.
what's the
a ton
gimmick?
of time on it.
I'm
You'll see when-
gonna play the game.
What's
it-
the massive
okay.
spoiler code? Tell me about the massive spoiler. Because I fought this guy and
Okay, listen,
and didn't
listen.
do anything to it and just killed it.
I don't want to blow your mind on this. Okay,
Okay.
it's a little weird, and it's pretty unique. You shoot the shiny bit.
Oh, I know. I just did this. I just walked up to it and left click.
We'll see how it's in down state. It only gets into down state if you shoot it when it's got the sparkly thing in its mouth. And the down state, if you look at the health,
Got
about
it.
10 times more per hit than the normal hits.
Yeah. I didn't do
So
that.
when I first fought him, I never put him in down state, and I was like, I think my weapon died before it did. I think my weapon completely got exhausted before he was even half health.
Okay.
So I did not have the equipment to beat him. Then I went back and started doing the down state thing, and it was fine. And right there, you can see it right there. That's it.
Got it.
When he goes down. Okay, anyway, we're done. We're good.
Yeah, I'll change from the boss fight there now that we've showed everything.
So anyway, as long as you attack its feet, you're fine. That's the weak point.
Okay, yeah, feet.
You motherfucker! I'm gonna destroy it. Oh, by the way, since while we're at a little bit of a pause, just so all of the chat's concerned, oh, puppy! I did see it. Okay,
Yeah.
I saw it. They're like, did Zeke not
Zeke-
see the puppy? It's like,
I'm not.
yeah, I saw it.
I
I
can't
feel
believe.
like the intention was there, but the effort wasn't with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not my dog. I don't care.
I mean, he
that
was the
much.
fourth
To
member.
be honest.
Wow. He was
I
the
told
fourth member
I've
of the show.
told you
Zeke,
this. I
and
told
now he
Chad, I
might be
told
the
Katie this.
third.
I'll
Yeah,
tell
I know,
you this.
right?
I
So I'd like to welcome
dogs
our
and that kind of
newest
stuff,
third host.
but I only
Henrier.
go, oh, and melt if they're my dogs.
Fair enough, I guess. I suppose.
I guess.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone's entitled to live their life how they like. Okay. I guess we
I'm
know
not
who
saying he's
was
not
one to
cute.
get.
It's
Oh,
adorable.
wait. How does the cat feel about? Oh God. Now we've got.
Oh, Dimitri's super old. He doesn't care at all.
He doesn't care?
He just
Okay,
hang
great.
out. The other cat, Siri, Fenrir chases Siri around and tries to bite her legs. She's
Naturally.
not super on. But that being said, Siri will just walk up and like walk right by him. And him and Gary haven't had too much time together yet. Gary tends to avoid him.
Got it. Okay. Fair enough. Fair
Just
enough.
he just licked Dimitri's nose, so I guess that's going well.
Yeah. Best buds. Best buds. Yeah. Enshrouded is great. I'm still.
It's great. Yeah.
I
This
stick
is
by
just
being
like Palworld.
overwhelmed, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's good.
And just like Palworld, this is one of those games where it's got a long way to go. I think they already have a roadmap for this.
They
Maybe, or I'm
should,
thinking
yeah.
of Palworld,
I
but
think you're right.
yeah, the mining and deformation, by the way, some of the best I've seen in any game like this. Like, and I don't know if you saw my base. I don't know if you noticed in my base. My entire base was underground.
I saw, yeah. No,
Yeah,
no,
so
chat was
literally I
very
built-
quick to just be like, just build, because I literally, Cole, I'm not kidding around. I sat there for an hour, pissed off, because like, I don't want to build. Like, you guys don't understand how overwhelming this is for my fucking brain to comprehend. Everyone's like, just build underground. So then I started building underground, and I was like, okay, this is like not bad. And then all it took was one block that I built too far down, and it just fucked everything up to where it went like derp. And I was like, I can't do it. It's got to be
Well,
completely flat or
When
nothing.
you dug ground, ground, did you do the foundation removal trick?
Yeah. And then my mouse
Okay.
I could have just right clicked, but I think I like
You
committed.
should always
it or
build it
whatever.
back. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But I mean, that's one of the things I like about the building system. Anything you do, you can fix.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they even have like a terrain dirt tool. You can sculpt with the terrain.
Yeah.
The whole hoe system you can use to flatten it. Like, it's wild. It
It's
all just
very
kinda
in-depth.
works. It's even crazier. No, what I'm going to do next time is I'm actually going to do like an entire underground like village castle deal. Like,
Oh.
I'm going to do like a whole big build. Funny enough, when I realized that's what I wanted to do is when I knew my playthrough now was done.
When you
Because
were
I was
getting
like,
to that
all right,
level.
yeah, because it was like I realized I was setting like an 80-hour goal.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do this in EA, dude. Like, I know I'm going to return to this game. There's just enough jankiness in it to where it needs some patches and stuff. And
Yeah.
But I no question, I cannot wait for this game to keep evolving. I feel the same way about this game as Valheim right now. Like, it's just a fantastic game, and it's only going to get better.
Yep. I like the classes. We didn't even talk about that, but you can like spec your character to do different things. You could be a mage, you could be an archer, you could be a warrior, you could be different
Class
permutations.
system needs some
Yeah.
serious work, but
Yeah. For the most part, the class fantasy I think is there, but you have to get kind of deep into it for it to really be fully realized.
And even then, they don't give you enough keystones to like really like feel it. And it's also kind of weird. Like assassin, the assassin class is just a ranged DPS class.
Yeah. The
Like
names
there's
are
there's a lot of weirdness that don't really line up. There's no class for like stealth. There's a whole stealth system, but then no class that really does stealth.
Yeah.
Like again, there's a lot of. It's clearly an alpha version of their skill class, and they've already said they're going to be working on it. So
For sure.
yeah, they're also the heal stuff is just dumb. Apparently, if you just want to easy mode the game, you just spec into that AoE heal and put points in int.
I
and
thought
you're
that
just
was
like,
going to be broken.
yeah, apparently
it is
it's just broken
I didn't know
dumb.
that
Yeah,
was
it's just
broken.
amazing.
Yeah.
So it's I've heard nothing but good things. They apparently if you're a
That
solo
sounds
player,
like
like
cheating. What was that
first.
again? Healing spec.
And the
There's a healing
That
spec
sounds-
that passive.
I just want to avoid it.
you should do
terribly.
it.
Like,
It's a
Oh, for
passive
sure.
that just
It
heals
gives you AoE passive regen based on how much int you have, and you can pump that up. So it's like it gives you like this crazy regen mechanic that's really really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good.
Arguably needs some.
Now
serious
that was
balance.
cute.
Yeah, the dog's making noise. It's good. He
Little
wants to add to the show.
noises.
He wants to add to the
He's
show.
just at this point,
He's just chilling. Cool. That's Enshrouded. I'm sure it'll pop back up in some point. What else do we have? Let's, we got 35-ish minutes till Carrie joins us to talk about Avowed. Let's talk Yakuza. Have you played it at all, Zeke? Have you? Because you were doing CD-ROM-A-THON, right?
I love how you did that. Like you had to like. Okay, let's.
Well, no.
I know.
I don't mean it that way. It came off that way. I totally understand. But yeah,
I can be super quick, like, and I'm sure Zeke could too. I mean,
No. I'm going to be playing it. I will be playing it on stream.
You're
I'm
streaming
going to
it.
wait a couple of months
okay.
until it kind of dies out.
oh, for the
as
record,
much
it doesn't have any.
and
Yeah,
there is no hype to die out.
that is like the streamer centric.
Well, and not only that, but
it.
the second part of that sentence is, and so people who would watch me get a chance to play it,
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
so they don't miss because
There's
of,
no
like I'm
spoilers.
gonna play this spoilers, blah blah blah. So yeah.
Sorry, I was reading DF chat. Yeah, I mean it doesn't have any hype around it. You guys are I have seen that for sure. But Yakuza the other
Really?
one.
I've seen people like big names talking about it. Is that not the,
Well, people are hyped to play it, but
Uh-huh.
people are not hyped to watch it.
Oh yeah.
Most Yakuza games are very similar to CRPGs. I've found in terms of the way that they stream, where the first couple days you play it are generally normal viewership or higher, and then every single day past that, your numbers will go down.
Yeah.
That's normal. That's part of streaming games like this. It happens to almost every long-term CRPG and RPG in many cases. So, especially if you play in non-English.
Yeah, that'll make a big input as well.
And you're gonna do Japanese, right?
Zeke, are you playing in Japanese or English?
I've thought about that. I've honestly thought about that. I played most of the games, or I played all of the Yakuza games in the original Japanese, and no shit. I find my viewer because I think I switched halfway through on the most recent Lost Judgment, and I switched to English halfway through, and I in fact did see a viewership bump, because people can just listen rather than have to pay attention to subtitles.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Oh. I don't know.
Oh.
I honestly don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I'm
the big thing.
leaning toward Japanese just because I've done all the Yakuza Like a Dragon games in Japanese.
Yeah.
The big thing
And the
for us
voice
to consider,
You know, some of them.
that's true. It's very strange hearing Yang Ye as Kiryu. Like he's not bad. I don't think he's bad, but it's very strange hearing a non-Kiryu Kiryu. I don't know how else to say it. Like it's so weird. It's the same way I felt about Shadow Warrior 3, where it was like, that's not my Wang. It's not a bad Wang. I'm not comfortable with this Wang. Not a bad Wang,
Sure.
but I like my Wang.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. I understand it.
Yep.
So review-wise, that game came out and people touted it as like the best Yakuza, is what a lot of reviews are saying. You're how many hours in, and do you feel that so far?
Many hours in
Better
am I?
than 0, though.
That's what people are saying. They're saying it's the best in the series.
I am currently 42 hours into Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Okay.
I'm on chapter 6 of 12, 13, 14.
Okay.
One of the best games I've ever played of any genre.
Yeah, really.
Judging by your chats, man, it's not clearly better than 0, but it is arguable because we got people on both sides. So that's
the thing
that's
is
cool. That's really cool to
yeah,
hear.
0 is, and this is going to sound so weird, but bear with me. 0 compared to Infinite Wealth is actually a somewhat focused Yakuza.
Sure.
Like with 0, you have like, even though there's tons of mini games everywhere and a huge world to explore and all that kind of stuff, like in Yakuza, you feel like everything is kind of revolving around your characters and what they're doing. Infinite Wealth, you are in this giant city that feels alive. I'm in chapter 6. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. Like your characters feel like they're playing kind of like their own lives instead of starring roles. So that makes everything else feel like it's more on your level instead of you on a pillar above everything else. And it's just the amount of like side content and mini games and the care that's gone into them. I mean, this is a full RPG, full top to bottom RPG. It has a full Pokemon minigame with multiple levels. It has a completely optional roguelite dungeon. It's got an entire fully fleshed out, I've already spent 10 plus hours in it, Animal Crossing minigame, which, let's be blunt, the Animal Crossing minigame does things better than the actual Animal Crossing does. Like it's wild how much they put in this game to make it feel so much bigger than similar things. Like it feels like you're getting slightly tired of one thing, cool, go do another thing. Getting slightly tired of that, cool, go do another thing. Or just explore around. Or just do side quests, which have been great so far. Or go do the main story, like as the last thing of, your list of 10 things to do in the game. It's really wild. And what's even crazier is all of it's fun. I've spent 42 hours in this game. Felt like I've spent 5 in it. And I keep finding new things. And I'm only on chapter 6, and Yakuza is notorious for introducing new things as you get through the chapters. There's even post-game stuff. So it's like, it is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is Ryuga Gotoku at its finest. It is phenomenal. The only big issue I'd have, and the only issue I know I'm going to have, and I'm kind of disappointed about this, is apparently they put so much in the freaking game that it is super easy to power creep. It is apparently very easy to get to a point where you're like one rounding everything. And that kind of sucks. I don't know a lot about the end game. I'm purposefully kind of staying away from it. And I do know that they, may have put in some challenge stuff and things later, but I'm hoping that for people like me that are planning on doing, a nearly everything playthrough, that there's still going to be challenges at the end game.
Yeah.
So, and of course unfortunately I say the end game, but for $10 more, you can get New Game Plus. No.
Yeah, I saw.
Thing. Yeah, but I don't know a lot about the New Game Plus stuff. So I'm not, I know that they're trying to pay for it, which absolutely sucks.
There's a lot of DLC for this game.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of that.
But that being said, the game's incredible. The base game, like we were talking about earlier I think $70 for this is a no-brainer with the amount of content you're going to get, especially if you're already a Yakuza. So, and I'd also like to say the NA voice acting, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Good.
I can't hear that. We switched to Japanese to do some of the karaoke, and hearing Ichiban Kasuga in his Japanese voice felt the same way as hearing Kiryu in his NA voice. Like Kaiji Tang does such a good job as Ichiban Kasuga that hearing it even well performed in Japanese was like, this is weird.
Huh.
I want the other guy back. Like he does such a good job as Ichiban that's his voice. That's that character to me now, is that voice. So it's really good. It's really good. Yeah, I'm having a great time with it.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but the same from everyone that's been playing it. So
I love how I say specifically, in my opinion, for me, and all these people are like, no, not even close. That's so wrong. That's terrible. It's like, that's great. I'm glad you think it's not even close for me on my opinions.
it happens.
But
people get over it.
Okay. All right. And
Um,
Blue-Eyed Rose just coming out with it. I respect your opinions, but they're wrong.
There you go.
But I'll
That's the
respect-
correct.
But I'll respect them.
That's how you say it. Yeah.
That's
how
right.
you say it
But I'll respect them.
Cool. How many hours is that game? I've heard like over 100. Are you going to be able to finish it before Final Fantasy, I guess?
Gene Park tweeted that he did not do the Pokemon game and barely did the Animal Crossing game, did not do all the side stories, and it took him 75 hours.
Jeez. Okay. That's a lot. Yeah. That's a big chunk of a game. You got a month to finish
Before
Final Fantasy. Yeah.
nope, yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, no question. You'll be okay.
No problem. I'm trying to figure out what games I'm going to play before Final Fantasy.
That's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we do have demos this week, so probably a bunch of that.
Right. I should probably take this guy back before.
Okay.
Carrie
I will
gets here,
talk
so
about
I'll be
two
right back.
games. I'll save the one that I was going to talk about so you get back, because I think you will want to play it. Let's talk, Zeke. We can talk about your favorite game.
Okay.
Granblue Fantasy Relink.
Yeah, see ya.
I don't know how you knew I was watching every stream you did. I am on my trash. It says my trash count is definitely not Zeke.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you
I can be short, so when Co sits down, we can move on to another game. It's rare that I run into a thing where I'm like, this is actually like I'm having a blast, but it's like so fucking weeby. Like it is the weebiest weeb game I have played in a very long time.
Please expound.
I mean, in the final, at one point in this game, there was 7 people talking at the same time, all in like dialogue with in-game voices happening while they're shouting the names of all their abilities, with like the bad boss, the big bad guy, talking at the same time. And I had to take a second and just pause to like center my being, because it was just like, it was way too much. But
All right, hold on. I'm gonna ruin your chat for just a second.
let's hear it.
JP's chat. I want you to put your favorite shouted move. Put it in the chat. Like, you know, like Mega Fisto.
Oh, I don't know
Or
if they have one. I'm curious. I don't know if they have one.
Oh, okay. No, I'm just wondering if there's one that gets repeated a lot, like
there's
Shadow Dragon Blade. Or
no,
something like
it's
that.
it's not like that level. It's just, see how this dialogue's happening in the bottom center of the screen? Everything in this game's voiced. Like everything in this game is voiced. And they just do the thing where they expound just constantly, just nonstop, just blah, 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 blah. Bibbity, blabbity, hibbity, hoppity. I sound like I hate this game. It's actually quite the opposite. I think this game's fantastic.
Dude, we just got done shitting on Palworld for like half an hour, and I love the game.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
okay.
It's just, it's a lot. It's incredibly weeby. That being said, what is this game? It's an action RPG that turns into Monster Hunter, which is really weird for
solo Monster Hunter, though.
no,
Right?
it's group play. The end game is all online. Well, you can solo it, but the entire end of the game is like multiplayer. which
Oh,
is,
okay.
and none of the main game is multiplayer, in terms of the actual story stuff. But yeah, I'm having an absolute blast with it. I finished the story. It took about 10 hours, and now I'm in the end game. I've just started the end game, and it's around 100 hours of content at the end game with just like tons of different bosses and like
Sounds like an MMO.
yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah. Granblue Fantasy is an IP that is from a gacha game. Like, I think it's one of the original gacha games, or one of the big original gacha games, I should say. And it's absolutely massive in its gotcha-ness, like everyone knows it to be. None of that is present in here. You can't. There's nothing to buy except for like just your normal DLC stuff. None of it's actually in game.
Okay.
You don't have pulls for the different characters. You just have the different characters that you can grab and use whoever you want. It's like a 4-person party. The multiplayer stuff is very Monster Hunter-y, in the sense that you load into missions, and each mission is like kill this boss, and you have different parameters in a certain amount of times, and blah blah blah.
Now, as far as the group play goes, is it you control the main character and then they do auto what they do, or you set them to do, or you do it within like action wise? Like, I need you to heal me now. Do it now.
The AI does their own thing. You control
Okay,
your
okay.
character, and you don't really dictate what the AI is doing at all. And then in multiplayer, you kind of can have roles. I haven't hit like the hard multiplayer levels yet, but I've heard that stuff gets pretty hard. You have heals and whatnot, different potions that you can use for yourself. But yeah, this is one of the boss fights. The boss fights in this game are really the main star. This is just like a normal humanoid, but at one point the game kind of turns into like a little Final Fantasy 16-ish, where you're fighting giant dragons. It turns into Shadow of the Colossus at one point, where you're fighting like giant mechs. There's
Go on.
yeah, it's kind of got all of that. Like, this one's cool. Look how like there's so much shit happening in this fight where you're having to
Like
kill
a
the
bullet
different
hell, dude.
yeah, you're having to kill the different weapons, and like it's absolutely wild. I was very surprised by how much I enjoy the combat in this game. Of it just being like kind of mindless, kind of dumb fun, just watching things happen, watching things explode.
Is it
but
fully voice acted?
everything in this game's fully voice acted, yeah. Everything in this game's fully voice acted. Be careful though, you missed it at the beginning. They do all talk at a lot of times at the same time, and it's very overbearing.
Oh well, it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, like if like Tales of Vesperia or whatever the most
Starfall Rondo.
yeah, it's not on that level. They're not saying their abilities. They're saying like the in-game lore. But Tales of Arise, that's what I wanted to say. And you can
Someone in my chat said you
everything.
can play as any of the characters,
Yes.
so you can choose your class, and so to speak.
Yep. You can play as any of them, and that's awesome. You can kind of choose whatever. I played a ranged character. That's the person that I played there, and they're all characters from the gacha game. I guess at one point are in that. So you kind of start the game with 5 or 6 people that it kind of just expects you to know, because they're all characters that exist within the Granblue IP. So.
God damn. The more I look at this, the more and more I'm like, this is a casino. This is a casino game. This is a
yeah,
fucking
it feels great.
slot machine.
It feels great, just like shooting things. It also runs. I play it at 4K 120. I never dropped below 120 frames for the 20 hours that I put into it. Not that it's like super impressive in the battle sequences. If I could show like. Oh, that's a different.
I'm curious if you can play different characters and the AI all does the shit. Can you just play like the healer of the group and let your AI do shit?
Yep. Yeah.
That's awesome.
The healers still deal damage and stuff like that, but yeah,
oh, okay.
They can like mostly heal. So, and the funny thing to me is that this game's doing exceptionally well on Steam. I think it crossed over like 100,000 people concurrent, and is in like the top. Wow. I think it was beating Yakuza. Granted, that could be a console favored release, but it's beating Yakuza and beating Persona on like Friday in terms of concurrent users. So there's a lot of people playing, which is awesome. So I'll probably keep playing the third most popular JRPG ever on Steam was the headline going around in terms of just people playing. So doing quite well. This is what I wanted to show to Co. If you're looking for something to play. This is the demo for, oh God, now I'm going to blank on the name. Hold on, let me pull up
Dungeon
Steam.
Born?
No, it is, God damn it, Chad.
Oh, this is that mech building game.
Lightyear Frontier. Yeah.
Yeah,
put out
this
a
isn't
demo.
out, is it?
No, there's a demo for it. That has about, I would say, a stream's worth of content. This game's gonna be really fun. It's very gorgeous game.
This
and it
this
runs
is
well.
Stardew
It's
Valley
cool.
with robots.
Yeah.
I've been sold on this game since the second I saw it.
Yeah.
Essentially, so
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for it to get to a point where I can actually put some time into it.
Yeah,
Good to know it's coming along well though. That's great.
it's
great.
really good.
Stardew Valley with robots. Did anyone else? Did you guys watch the Netflix series Love, Death, Robots?
I had a lot of people
know of
talk
it,
about that when
It
I was
looks like
playing
that
this.
one episode. If you've watched it, the one vignette.
Oh yeah,
It reminds me of
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had
Exactly.
That's a good
First
point.
thing I thought, I was like, big robots fighting and farming.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
I had a ton of people mention that.
Suits.
It's very good.
Is what it's
Lightyear
called,
Frontier. It's got a demo. If you're looking for something to play, it's not gonna take an afternoon from you. Definitely check this out. It's worth it.
Cool.
Either of you check out the Nightingale demo? We don't need to spend too long on it.
No, I didn't. I was kind of sad because like I missed getting a key, and I had a connection with one of the people that did it though, and I was like, hey, can I get a key? And I'm going to play tomorrow morning. And they were like, yeah, we can do that, but it closes tonight at 6. And I was like, didn't you open yesterday? Like,
Yeah. So
my lord. Okay.
they announced Nightingale. Here's some Nightingale. They announced Nightingale was playable, and originally it was playable for I think 3 hours on Friday, and then they extended that by 5 hours till like 9 p.m. Eastern. And anyone could play. You just went to the Steam page and hit request access, and it just immediately gave you access. That being said, I didn't have that great of a time with the game, and I think that might have been because of how it was structured. The way that this was purely a stress test for the game, because they give you.
Damn it, JP.
I had to do it. I had to see what was going to happen. You load, like you get into the game, and they kind of just gave you a little bit of everything, so you could kind of see what the game was all about. And so there was no progression, like no standard progression that you have in a survival game of like.
Apparently, hunting children was in.
Yeah, that's Bambi.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I was just checking out to see. I was seeing what was going to happen. You got to shoot it.
Mhm,
And the other thing is, might have been my hardware situation. I was trying to fish. I died. Spoilers right here. But every time that I tried to fish after this, it crashed. And I had
Bro, are you on the top of the mountain? Like, I can see water, so this is probably a good spot.
Yeah, I was. I didn't know what was going to happen. I had about 20 crashes in the like 50 to 60 minutes that I played. That was not the case for everyone. There's one right here. That was not the case for everyone. It was the case for me. And so I didn't have that great of an experience with it. I don't know what other people were having in terms of their experience. The UI is a little bit much. You couldn't really glean that. We don't need to see my goofs here. The UI is a little bit busy in it, but like I am interested enough to play it whenever it comes out in early access, just to see like what it's all about and like how it is, and kind of go through the actual mechanics and survival aspects of the game. It did look pretty for when I was playing it. Like it was a well graphic game.
Is that a quad barrel pistol?
It is a quad barrel pistol. Yes. Yeah.
Really? That's why you're like, not the umbrella. Not the umbrella for no reason. Like, what's the umbrella?
The umbrella.
Obviously to safe fall, right?
Yes, I think that does benefit.
Wait, really?
Yes, I think it does benefit. It also stops you
Do
from
not
getting.
try that.
It stops you from getting.
Fool me once, shame on Penguin.
It stops you from getting wet. The game has a lot of different like elemental aspects to it of like you're hot, you're wet, you're blah 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 blah, and all the different
like
armors and stuff.
I like that just that comment alone could have been seen as so snarky, but that makes a lot of sense. It helps you from not getting wet.
Yeah.
Did you think about that, Co?
Oh yeah, I got
dummy.
There was in one of the weather moments in the game, it started hailing, and they were not kind in the damage that hail does. I had to quickly get under a building or I was gonna die.
Death
So
by hail.
yeah, I had to get some
Okay.
hail situated. It also had an arachnophobia mode in the settings. So of course I had to run into the spiders very quickly, and I did not enjoy that. They were on a beach, funny enough. I don't know why they were on a beach.
Where they go to sunbathe, bro.
But
Didn't know it.
yeah, they're pretty terrifying. But yeah, I crashed so much that I didn't really get a chance to experience too much of the like loop of the game. And it was also super short. It was literally like 2 hours initially.
And if I remember something, wasn't like one of the big kind of shticks of this game is that you could like build portals to other worlds and that you go to other worlds. I'm guessing you didn't do any of that, right?
I started to try to build the portal, and then I went to the wrong. There was like a different tier of portal that I was trying, a different test that I went to, and it was like the next level up. And so I went to the wrong one, and then I started crashing more, and I was like, fuck it. I'm good. I wanted to check out Lightyear after that. But yeah, we'll see what happens with this. It seems like their stress test was successful in everything that they said. I'm just surprised. You don't see that often. You don't see people like the last stress test I can think of was Diablo 4. And that was because it's Diablo 4 and they ran into so many issues with Diablo 3. So they were trying to figure out how server stuff was going to work for them. So I'm really wondering like if this was a test of their server infrastructure or like what they were really getting at for the testing
if
purposes.
they are building their own infrastructure, then it absolutely could have been a real stress test, not a PR stress test.
I don't think it was
beta
PR
or
at
alpha.
all. Yeah.
Then I think most likely they were testing the hardware. They were seeing how, because I mean a lot of this stuff you can emulate load as much as possible, but it's never going to be exactly the same as real load.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So
yeah. Water looks pretty.
Yeah, it's very, very. The spiders are about to pop up. I'll leave it on the screen till we do that. What else? Either of you play Tekken 8? Did you jump in at all?
Still as kicky and punchy as ever?
Yeah, you might want to play the single player of Tekken 8. It might, if you enjoyed that Mortal Kombat thing, you might want to play.
Okay, I dropped in somebody's stream that was playing
That
Tekken.
Tekken 8.
All I gotta know all I gotta say is I thought I've never played any Tekken basically at all.
Okay.
I mean, I played back in the day when it was like super pixely and I could play a guy that had a cat head.
Yeah.
That's what I remember about Tekken. But I dropped into somebody's stream, and this is gonna sound spoilery, but then if you realize it's in my context, whatever. So there was like a demon dude, and then some other guy was like, well, now I've got to grow my wings. And then he pops his wings out, and all of a sudden it goes back. He's like, it's like white winged guy versus devil guy. And I was like, what am I watching? And I watched that for about 30 seconds and then was like, okay, this is clear. Like, I have no idea what is happening. And yeah, so.
Of all the things I have played.
Full anime, I know, right?
Yeah. Of all the things I have played in the past, I would say 3-4 years, Tekken 8 single player is the most anime thing I've ever played. It is
Ever?
in the past couple of years.
This guy plays Granblue.
It is fun, and it's like it's not bad, and like it's what you want from anime, which is just pure like bullshittery of like power levels of like a demon fighting another demon who then powers up and turns into, and then you're in space, but then you're back on like it is, and then there's a giant bear who's got a rocket-powered fish, and you've got an AI person who removes her head and throws it at you in the middle of combat. And it's just fucking awesome. It was so awesome. It was just a complete 4-hour blissful experience that you don't really have to do much.
I did go to the Arizona desert to find myself with peyote, and what you're saying is very similar to what I went through.
It's great. Play Tekken 8. If you're only going to play Tekken 8 for the single player, it's a kind of a steep buy. It's literally 4 hours long. It is not a long single player experience. And it's not difficult, but like, man, it's real stupid in all the best ways. There's a coffee girl, and the entire time she just talks about how she's from
hey, there's my boy. Okay,
that?
so he's still there. Great.
Paul,
the dude with the tiger head. Apparently he's still
King.
around.
Yeah, King.
King, my man.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good with him.
It's just a stupid fun game. And then there's like the whole actual fighting game aspect, which is very good. To it.
How does it rate? How does Tekken rate against like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat? Like, is Tekken like a pillar with them, or is it like a side quest?
Pillar? Yeah, Tekken's huge now. I would say Tekken 7 really solidified.
It plays so differently from the other two.
It really does, yeah. I would say Tekken 7 like solidified itself, and maybe even before that. But for me, 7 was like, Tekken's not fucking around, and now with this, they're like, it's huge. It's one of the best fighting games to come out in a very long time. Like a lot of people are saying it's better than 6 at the moment. If you're looking for that type of ranking on it. So,
quick question: Is my boy down there actually a cat person, or is he just wearing a mask cat head thing? Did they ever talk about that? I always wondered that when I was younger.
Those are spoilers.
Oh God, really?
Those are spoilers. Those are.
How does it rate
spoilers.
against Guilty Gear?
For my own interest, I would say I'm still Guilty Gear pilled.
Apparently, chat does not care that it's a spoiler. But okay.
I'm mostly
Good to know,
messing
chat.
around.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm mostly messing around. But yeah, for my interest, Zeke, I'm still Guilty Gear fan, but it's only because I'm bad at Tekken. I haven't taken the time to like play it. There was this weird issue because the game is peer-to-peer and it's multiplayer that
Is it rollback?
yes, I can't answer that confidently because I don't actually know the specifics around it, but yes and no is what I will say. Chat will probably be a better resource.
So
there.
I'm just gonna say maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I think there's rollback mechanics to it, but it's not full rollback. It's like their own brand of rollback, I guess is how.
Chat. Yep. Someone in just chat says it's their own thing but similar.
Yeah.
And then Suzu said it's rollback.
Yeah. It's great though. There's 32 characters in it, which is wild for a fighting game to launch with that many characters. They've already announced their first DLC is Eddie Gordo. So if you're just an absolute demon of an individual and play Eddie Gordo, you can buy him. At some point.
It's the only character like fucking idiot noobs can be competitive with at least a little bit.
You're
it's like Jax from
Look at that guy's
MP2.
hair.
Yeah. Oh, that's Paul. And here's Kuma, the giant bear who uses a rocket-powered fish. Also Panda, who's an actual character in this game. It's absurd. Tekken 8's great. You should play it. If you're at all in. See, look at Kuma.
Oh God, I like his jacket.
Well, yeah, he uses the Heihachi fighting style, and so that's why he's wearing that headband because it's very
As you do.
Heihachi pilled. Yeah. Anyways, Tekken 8's wild. Anything else? We got like a handful of minutes before Carrie joins us.
Baldur's Gate 3 Dark Urge is awesome.
Yeah, enjoying that.
Honor mode. It's been a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah, honor-ish mode.
Zeke, for you, I know CD-ROM-A-THON is a thing that's
Just wrapped
over.
up.
Yeah, you just wrapped it up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Good. Good
I
month.
put a tier list on my Twitter or my X if you want to go look at it. I rated all. How many games did I play? I want to say 19. Let me just check real quick. 19 games. I ranked them on a tier maker thing. Thank you, Juiceful Orange, for making that for me. And yeah, there's some easy wins. Like Morrowind was an easy win, but some games I didn't see coming, like that I would enjoy, like Dracula. Short, but fucking phenomenal. It had a lot of like, and it wasn't phenomenal because of like how good the game is. It was phenomenal because of like how good it looked for back then. And you were just like, you marveled at like the character, like animation and the voice acting and stuff like that, because it was really, really good. I mean, obviously it's older, so it looks a little weird, but fuck, it's short, sweet, didn't overstay its welcome. I loved it. Games I didn't know I was going to enjoy. Heroes of Might and Magic 2. Fuck,
Ooh,
man,
that's
I
a
had
good one.
no
Home
idea
2. Yeah,
That's a
man.
good one.
that I would like. I spent a little while getting it to run right, and then I played through the first campaign situation, whatever, because in the campaign there's like 11 like nodes that you go down to beat the game.
Yeah.
And I played through the first one, and I really enjoyed it. And everybody was like, "Dude, Heroes of Might and Magic 3 improves on all that shit," and you're gonna like. So I've made a plan that sometime during this year I'm going to fire up Heroes of Might and Magic 3, not on CD-ROM. I'll be using, I'll be playing on GOG or whatever.
Cool.
And then there was some real losers that don't even bear mentioning.
Okay.
And one game series that I'm so glad to be done with, and no, I will not be playing the remake, is Alone in the Dark. I played the
The remake
all
is
three
nothing
games
like
at
the
least-
originals. You should totally play the
at
remake.
least a little bit. And no.
Yes.
They have the name on it. That's bad enough for me not to ever pick it up.
I'm gonna change my 100.
Not even the fucking dude from Stranger Things can make me want to play this fucking game.
I'm changing my 100-month game to the new Alone in the Dark.
Oof.
I'm gonna.
Done.
All right.
You pissed him off. Way to go.
Someone had to.
Real
I knew
quick.
someone
Real quick.
would.
Yep, doing it. Okay. Real quick. Before we go, I also got an hour of Stormgate.
Yeah. How'd you
Yes.
like? I got a lot of questions about that.
It
From my
ran
chat,
very
I'm saying.
smooth. It ran
Yeah.
very smooth. It felt very much like StarCraft. There were some cool improvements, but I was stuck in the rock paper scissors opening of the beginning of like trying to figure out the best early counter because everyone was early countering. So
Yeah.
got scout rushed a bunch of times, got ship rushed, scout rushed a lot of times. But no, I mean it feels cool. I think it would have been apparently goes into open beta in
It's this.
just, this weekend.
This week,
So I'd
yeah.
love for you who has a lot more information to give it a try and let us know. But anyway,
Ugh,
we're into
maybe.
interview time.
Yeah. Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Shut
Zeke, you said you wanted to do some shout outs real quick before we do this.
Yeah, I'll
so
take off and
can
let you
dip
guys
out. Okay.
take it away. Yep.
Yeah. I will let you do that real
We
quick.
don't feel, no one feels rushed or anything. All right.
Cool.
Thank you guys very much for being here. My name is Ezekiel III. You can find me at / Ezekiel_III on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Want to thank JP and Co for being wonderful co-hosts, and thank you to Carrie Patel for joining us, even though I won't be here. They have plenty of questions for you, so thank you for coming on the show, even though I won't be asking you anything or making fart jokes. So I'm out of here. Thank you. I will be doing demo days all week next week, 10 a.m. Pacific, Tuesday through Saturday. Just going to be Steam Next Fest demos and indies and stuff like that. So that's what's coming up. Thanks for watching.
Fantastic. Give us a really silly looking face so that we have to stare at it for the entire next 30 minutes.
Oh, that's a good
But
one.
you have to close the call. Okay, he did. All right, great.
See, now what would have been better is if he just stayed that way the entire, like just moving a little bit.
This is
the
what we're
entire
stuck
interview.
with. This is what we're stuck with, and we're gonna bring in our guest, Carrie Patel, the game director of Avowed. Carrie, first question: how do you feel about Zeke's final closing shot here?
It's going to be very memorable.
Great, fantastic. Yeah, we didn't know this was going to be a thing. Sorry, just bring that on you.
I
here
love it.
at the start of it. It was also fun watching a live audience member, our first maybe on the show, respond to the bullshittery that we were saying. So thank you for that. I was watching in the camera as we were discussing whatever we were just discussing. But anyways, our time is short. Let's talk Avowed. It's been 2 weeks, I think, since that Xbox event where you guys were finally able to kind of peel back the veil of the game. And since then, you've kind of been on like a media tour, as it were, if there is such a thing in games these days. And you've got to see the community kind of respond to the game and even respond to some of those community comments and posts and whatnot. How are you finding that whole process so far? How has like the unveiling been for you and the team at large?
Yeah, it's been great. It's the funny thing about game development is you spend so much time working quietly on something, and for a few years it's your day in, your day out, what your focus is. And then there are kind of these little moments when finally you can start to talk about it, start to share your progress. And the thing that's always exciting right now is, we showed something for showcase last June.
Mm.
We showed a little bit more at Developer Direct a couple weeks ago, as you mentioned. So we're getting to share more and more. But all of that is while the game is still in progress, obviously. And so, it's one of the heartening things has been seeing fans call out some of the things that we are actively working on, like the sense of hitting and impacts as you're attacking enemies. It's like, yep. What y'all saw was still a few weeks behind where we were, even when that footage was released, just because of the nature of the way these things are put together. And the team's been working on it. So it's kind of nice to say, like, yep, they saw it. We know it. Trust us. We're working on it.
Are there members of the team when that happens and you get to go and read all the different comments? Are there members of the team that bring it to a meeting of just saying like, see, I told you, like, that's what they're saying. Does that happen like internally where you guys are able to use that as, collaborative feedback for the game?
It's definitely a point of discussion. Like if and you've got people who follow that sort of commentary a lot more closely, people who tend to be a little bit less engaged with that. But yeah, I mean, we've definitely got enough people who follow that stuff closely enough that if there's something that's coming up a lot in commentary, we're probably talking about it internally.
Sure. That makes sense. Ko, I know you've been following Avowed since like the second it was announced. You can't stop talking about it. I'm gonna let you kind of
Yes.
lead the rest of the discussion here because you have a bunch of different questions to ask. So please go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So first of all, Carrie, thank you for so much for coming on today. This has been it's amazing being able to talk to you about this stuff. I know many of my community are diehard Obsidian fans, and actually, you know what? Let's just get right into it. So one of the reasons we're Obsidian fans is because you guys have had a lot of phenomenal games over the years. When I am asked what my favorite CRPGs are, when it comes to like story, one of the first ones I always say is Pillars of Eternity 1. Like that was one of those games that showed me just how amazing stories can be delivered through this medium. So for players like me, for us that, we'd love to see a PoE 3, but Avowed comes out, and then we hear, oh man, it's in Eora. Like, this is incredible. What is this game going to do outside of the location for people like me that we have hundreds of hours in Eora in the CRPG? What is going to translate into Avowed for us?
So one of the things that I think was really distinct about Pillars of Eternity 1 and Deadfire, just in terms of the way we frame the player's role in the world, like with all of our games, I think we try to leave what we think of as a player-shaped hole at the center of the experience, where it's like, yes, we have a central premise, we have some conflicts we're putting you into, we have situations that we're dropping you into to navigate, but the core of choice and consequence for us is about letting players express who they are in this world, navigate complicated and nuanced choices. Oftentimes there are not easy or predictably easy, right and wrong answers, which is one of the things I really love about this style of game. So there's certainly that, but I think something that returning Pillars fans will definitely recognize is the idea that you have this very grounded political story, where factions and nations and people, operate within, I guess, kind of like a real politic framework. And alongside that is this very thoughtful metaphysical story of the gods and souls and kind of these deeper, slightly more abstract topics. And in all of the Pillars of Eternity games, including Avowed, you have both of these stories running in parallel, and you have a player character who is right between them with a foot in each of these worlds, that sort of explains why they are uniquely able to influence events, why their choices matter so much for the outcome of the world. And it kind of gives them these two very interesting vectors to play off of as they're defining their place in the setting, and figuring out where they're going to push it.
Great. Any follow-up comments on that, Zeke? Okay, great.
He
So we
looks
also have
excited.
some.
He's very
Yeah.
excited for Avowed.
So a lot of these questions, by the way, some are going to be like just quick yes no ones, and then
Sure.
others are going to be like what we just heard. That was a fantastic answer. Thank you for that. So for going into the more kind of from PoE to where we are now, one thing that I know a lot of people absolutely loved is the dive into full voice acting for PoE 2. How are we doing with that in Avowed? Is Avowed fully voice acted?
Yes, I mean, so except for the player character, in keeping with the Outer Worlds, your companions, your non-player characters are going to be fully voice acted. Player character lines in dialogue are not spoken.
Great.
Great.
Okay. Another kind of now we kind of get into the mechanical stuff and what we saw. So, a kind of trademark from like Fallout New Vegas, for instance, that Obsidian did so well is a lot of times you would walk into like a dilapidated building and there wouldn't be an NPC in sight, but there would be a skeleton with his arm at a weird angle, and then maybe another skeleton at the wall. And then if the player spent enough time in there through the environment, they could get the story of what happened. There were items everywhere. There were these 2 corpses, maybe an epic shootout, maybe some notes left behind. One of the things I noticed in the gameplay demos, it didn't seem like there were a lot of items all over the place. There was like some chests, there was some, specific locations. How are you guys treating the item quandary in Avowed? Are we going to be seeing stuff all over the place and items, little caches behind corners, or is it more of a centralized in chests on enemies, on bosses kind of thing?
There's plenty of loot to be found. We didn't show that in the footage that we showed for Dev Direct, but you might see a bit more of that in a long player, something like that in the future potentially. But yeah, there's plenty of stuff to find, plenty of loot, both as you're exploring, as you're fighting, and everything else.
Okay, so like you come into a camp, you kill the enemies and loot them. You can like go in the tents and there might be random stuff on the ground and stuff around the fireplace and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, whatever makes sense for the setting. We never want players to feel like they, as someone who can be a very OCD RPG player, it's like, oh my gosh, I have to get everything. So, but yeah, like you've got items, you've
Oh,
got
I
drops
do.
on enemies, you've got oh yeah, you know,
Great. So
and
all
yeah,
of
I
it.
mean stuff in the world. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So tell us about this skill system. So as a PoE, and see, this is where this game starts to get really interesting because first person immersive sims, kind of like Avowed, Fallout, that kind of stuff, they kind of, especially games like this that are based on CRPGs, they generally go from very complex, deep, customized systems that they then have to streamline and kind of, I don't want to use the word simplify, but kind of change to make more intuitive or more action-oriented games like this. How did you guys approach that with Avowed? Are we going to see kind of like a more parallel system where you're kind of like choosing how you want to do, or are we going to be diving deep into like big skill lines kind of more vertically?
So you'll have multiple skill trees, and we'll in a future update we'll get into the details of like what all those skills are and kind of what those trees look like. But it's essentially a classless system. So as the player is progressing, they can mix and match, pick from between those skill trees as they'd like. That allows them, if they choose, to spec into something that's a pretty recognizable fantasy archetype. Like if you want to play, a long distance ranger and have kind of some high damage abilities, use mostly things like either, bow and arrow or an arquebus, things that keep you at a distance, you can absolutely do that. But you're not going to be locked into a specific set of skills or, a specific set of weapons, from creating your character. There's flexibility to respec. So what we're really trying to do is give players a lot of options to customize the character that they want to play, to experiment with different options as they move through the game. So again, you can build some pretty recognizable archetypes, or build some pretty fun ones. Like I think Gabe mentioned the gunslinging mage in the video you're showing.
Awesome. And a little quick side follow-up. Do you skill spec your companions?
So companions do also have skills, and their trees aren't quite as big as the players. They do fall within whatever the particular combat archetype of that companion is, but within those trees, you can choose where to put those points. So your version of Kai, for instance, might be a little bit different from someone else's.
Very cool.
Cool.
So funny enough, this next question you kind of addressed here a little bit. I'm just going to read it off the page so we can all kind of enjoy this together. So let's see. what was the perspective taken in the weight of the combat? How did your team approach the balance of combat feeling light versus heavy, immersive? So seeing you guys are still working on that from the sounds of it. You're trying to make the combat feel like very weighty and immersive. But what direction are you guys going with it? What's been kind of the internal debate with that?
So part of it is about providing variety and distinction based on the kind of weapon you're using. Like you don't see any two-handers in this demo, but like if you're using a big two-handed, sword or hammer or something, it's absolutely going to feel a lot heavier than what you're seeing in this video. The swings are going to be slower but more impactful. It's going to take more stamina to use. It's going to feel very different. What you've got here is a one-handed sword, which is, kind of a pretty classic middle of the road option, pretty balanced. And then the wands, which we also see a lot of in this demo, are probably, along with daggers, our lightest, fastest, snappiest weapons. So those by design have kind of a very quick, fluid, snappy sort of feel to them. But again, it's all about giving the player options that suit both whatever play style they prefer, mechanically, tactically, but also just whatever lets them build their fantasy of their character in this world.
Cool. Also had an interesting question because I was talking to a member of my community, and they actually, when I mentioned that I was going to ask about this, they wanted to know about the reverse because for them it was an accessibility thing. They were wondering, is there going to be any weight on the player getting hit? Like if a player gets hit by a big weapon, is it going to move his camera and shake him around, or are all hits? Is there going to be any reaction to the player on getting hit with different levels of strength, or is it all just going to be straight kind of?
Yeah, it does depend on the type of attack and the weight of that attack. We've got some heavier enemy attacks, like you kind of see the red circle on that Zarp chieftain there when he's winding up for a really big unblockable. We've got some heavier ones that can knock the player down, push them back a little bit, but obviously lighter hits as well.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Some other just rapid fire one. Is there a new game plus on release or planned? And this kind of leads into a follow up. Like, are you guys planning on there being an extensive end game or an ending?
So we're not discussing endings or new game plus just yet.
Cool. Perfect.
Cool.
Now this was an interesting thing for me as an old school PoE player because I vividly remember like looking through all the races and stuff. But we heard recently that we can be a human or an elf, I believe, that was on there. So one of the questions I have is how meaningful is the character's race class selection at the start of the game? Is it like more cosmetic so the player doesn't have to, have any concern over it? Or is there going to be like a lot of changes and differences between their character race selection?
Sure. So there, we'll get into more of the details about our character creation system a little bit later. But there are some decisions you can make about your character at the very beginning that are going to have some mechanical impacts as well as some role play impacts. One thing you might have noticed in this video is when the player's talking to Naoki near the end of the quest, there's an option with a particular icon next to it, and that's background locked. So that means because the player picked a particular background on character creation, we're assuming that they have certain aptitudes, experiences, etc., that let them, speak to what they're saying right then. So, again, players of Pillars of Eternity will recognize that there were various vectors you could choose at character creation that would sometimes open these opportunities up. But yeah, so some of them are going to be about again, creating the character who kind of looks and feels the way you want them to, and then some of them will open certain doors for role playing for you.
Cool. And a quick actually follow up because you mentioned something that's not on my questions here, but I'm very interested in. Are there any skills that are non-combat, and does any skill play into dialogue stuff in the game, like a persuasion skill or anything like that?
So skills, as you're thinking of them on the on the skill trees, are about combat, gameplay, that sort of thing. They're not those in particular are not going to be tied to dialogue options.
Cool.
I think, like, personally, as an RPG player, one thing that I always find a little bit frustrating sometimes when I'm building or specking up a character, and again, this is purely a personal reaction, is feeling like I have to choose between a character who is, effective and fun in gameplay, or effective and has more role play options in dialogue. And there are obviously a lot of ways to tackle that. But for us, that means, yeah, those skill trees as you're leveling up and progressing are really about how you want to play the game and what sorts of abilities you want in the battlefield.
Cool. I'm a fan
Okay.
of that. I think I'm like my
I mean,
biggest sell.
it makes it a lot more focused for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
so just to be clear, is there any out of combat skill or customization, or is it pretty much all customization and stuff is around combat? And if it's too early to answer that, that's fine.
I think the answer to that is a little more complicated than I can get into
Okay.
just yet.
Perfect. No problem. Another, you probably can't answer this, but gonna ask it anyway. How long is a main quest playthrough compared to 100%? And you can use things like 50% to 100%. Like, or if I'm gonna do I'm gonna do everything I possibly can in a single run. Is this gonna be like 10% longer than a straight beginning to end playthrough, or like 50% long?
So the best thing I could point you to is the Outer Worlds. In terms of the overall scope of the game, kind of the play time, the play space, and also that approach to, yep, you can focus on the main, the critical path, but you can also broaden and fully explore your side quests, little adventure zones, all that good stuff. I think that's a pretty good model for what to expect in terms of scope.
Perfect. Is there a crafting system? And if so, will it be optional or mandatory?
So there's definitely, what I can say right now is we do have a weapon upgrade system, and while it is technically not mandatory, players will definitely be at an advantage for using it. So yeah, it's in there. Highly recommend it. It'll make you a lot more
I
effective on
like
the
that. You
battlefield.
technically don't have to use a weapon in Elden Ring, but we do provide them if you'd like to. Yeah,
You can
okay.
solo her, yeah.
Yeah.
You could go punch down Millennia. So another rapid fire one. Any plans for any type of player housing base or base building?
No base building. Sort of the base that follows you around through the game is your party camp that you share with your companions, but it's not going to be a base that you're building up over the course of the
No,
game.
up. Okay, cool. Um, so what types of difficulty levels can we expect from this game at the beginning? And will there be any that are unlocked by doing
So
like
players
playthroughs?
Yeah, sure. So players can expect, again, if they're familiar with a lot of our previous games, we often have something that's, a handful of difficulties on a range from story time mode, which is, very easy, to Path of the Damned, where it's extremely punishing. You can expect a similar range of difficulty options here.
Awesome.
Cool.
Uh, Another quick thing. So we saw in a lot of the gameplay preview that the mage, there seemed to be like some dual wield wand action and things like that. I remember vividly during that, somebody in my chat being like, "Oh man, I want to play a mage, but I hate wands." And just
Hmm.
asking for
That
him.
was Ko's
Can
ult.
you be?
Yeah, he's being insincere.
Well, I'm just wondering. Can you? We noticed that there were also, especially in some of the previews, some like incredibly flashy, big looking spells that use like grimoires or something of that nature.
Hmm.
Can you play a mage and not use a wand?
You don't have to use a wand. Again, it's a classless system, so there's nothing that's ever going to lock you into using a particular weapon or a particular set of abilities, or lock you out of using certain weapons. So if you're saying, I want to build a mage style character, I want to, find the most powerful spells, and I want to either, you could be a battle mage, cast spells and wield wield a melee weapon. You could be the gunslinging mage Gabe talks about. You can use a grimoire. You have a lot of options there, but you don't have to use wands if you don't like them.
And quick follow up to that, because I'm super interested in this kind of like whole thing. Because one big thing that systems like this tend to run into is you can be whatever you want, but then your character will have like a list of base stats that only makes him like really good at like one or two things. Do you guys have like an independent stat system with your skill system, or is it basically just built around the skill system itself? For
So
instance,
I
could I potentially have a stat rollout if it's available that makes me really bad at being a spellcaster, no matter how much I skill into it?
Right. I can't speak to the specifics of that system just yet, but what I will say is, our goal when we're building these systems up, and I think this has been consistent for us on Pillars and Outer Worlds as well, is we really don't want to, create systems that where players are going to like spec themselves into a corner if they don't like pull out a spreadsheet and figure out all the gotchas and pitfalls. Like, there's no secret formula players have to figure out. We really just want to give them a rich set of options so they can create a character who's really fun to play.
Cool. Awesome. How are the boss fights going to be in this game? Is it going to be like an enemy with more hit points that's slightly bigger than the others, or are we doing like set pieces?
So I'm sorry to say this again. I can't talk
And if
about
you could please
that
list all
just
the boss
yet.
fights and their
By
sequels.
name, alphabetical order. Yeah, no, what you so the one thing I can say is, what you're seeing in the demo, kind of the way we're approaching our combats broadly is we're trying to create a strong range of different unit types with, different behaviors to, keep our encounters fresh and also give players good reasons to switch up their strategies, maybe try the alternate loadout that they have equipped, or, explore the skill tree instead of finding one thing that works and using it every time. So yeah, it's about not finding anything that's gonna trick the player, or again, punish them if they haven't spec'd into the one thing that they're actually gonna need to beat this encounter or beat this character, but just having a good variety of enemies and behaviors where players with different loadouts can approach them in slightly different ways, but constantly feel challenged to try something a little bit different.
Cool. Perfect. Um, this is one of those questions that you can, again, stop at the beginning. I've got a few of these, you can tell. I was for the record, I made this list of questions expecting many to be unanswered, so don't think I'm completely crazy here.
Yeah.
Does this game feature any direct connection, non-spoilers of course, to previous PoE titles? And what I mean by that is people ask streamers all the time when a game like this comes out, if I want to fully enjoy this game, do you recommend playing the previous game? Would you say that PoE 1 and 2 are required reading?
They're not required reading. If you enjoy Pillars and Deadfire, you like that style of gameplay, absolutely pick them up. Many of us on the Avowed team worked on those games personally, so we still have a lot of affection for them. But also, if that's not your style of game, or if you've got a long backlog and you're just not going to get to them in time, that's fine. You don't have to know anything about Pillars 1 or 2 to enjoy Avowed.
That's the takeaway we needed
Cool.
right there. Okay, great. Perfect. 18, another big one. Are there any mini games in Avowed?
There are no mini games.
Okay, good to know. How does time pass in Avowed? Is there a day-night system, a wait system? And as a follow-up, is there any disadvantages or advantages in playing at night versus day? Any abilities that rely on the difference?
We do have a day-night system. It's not going to affect gameplay. It's really about giving the world kind of a sense of, life, passage of time, and there's some environments that look, especially beautiful, at night when a lot of the colors pop, like some of the kind of the bioluminescent fungus that you might have seen. So it lends a lot of life to the world, but it's not tied to gameplay.
Okay, awesome. And finally, my list of questions here, and we did great for time. What type of movement is going to be available for the player? Is all of Avowed going to take place on foot? Are there any specific skill lines that are going to give like the player actual movement speed and travel buffs, or how are you guys approaching the movement quandary?
So you're not going to have any mounts, if that's part of what you're asking about. You're going to be moving around on foot. As you can see, even in the demo for Dev Direct, there's some abilities that do affect your movement, like charge is a really great gap closer that'll move you across a moderate distance pretty quickly. So players can expect to see a few things like that.
Just out of curiosity, are there any skills that are like persistent movement plus like forever? Like, is it going to be the kind of thing where I have like one of my loadouts is for combat and the other is for like running around fast?
There might be some pieces of gear that could help you out with that.
Oh, okay.
And some real quick additional question here about this loadout system, because I'm really interested about this. Can you instantly switch loadouts whenever you want?
Yes, yeah, whatever. So you'll have you'll have your loadouts kind of already, equipped on your character through inventory, but yeah, anything you already have, you can swap between very quickly.
And this is weapons, equipment, and skills?
It is weapons. Yeah, like your on hand and your off hand.
And then, but then the weapons, like if I was using a pistol and a wand, could my
Yes.
other skill be a two-hand sword?
Yeah, it could. hmm
And I can switch those during combat?
I mean, you
Like,
might
can
have
I,
to wait
basically,
till
I'm
you're
wondering,
not like mid-swing, but you're not locked into something just because you're in an active encounter. So, like,
oh, that
if you're
was my
fighting,
question. Yeah.
yeah, if you're fighting a group of enemies and you start off and you say, "I want to take my bow and arrow and try to, like maybe take down these two guys from a distance," and then the rest of the encounter aggroes and they're rushing at you, and you say, "Okay, now I want to switch to my melee weapon." You can switch to that set with the press of a button and be ready to attack however you want.
And so I could literally run in with guns blazing, like run towards someone like blat 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 blat, and then right when I get in their face, instantly switch to a two-hand weapon and start cutting them up with a two-hand weapon.
Again, you just got to wait for the animation for your character to pull it out, but yes, it is very quick. It's the press of a button.
Oh God. Okay,
That's Co's fantasy.
that's
right
that's
power
gonna open up
fantasy.
a lot of things.
What,
that's wild.
Carrie, for you, what do you find yourself leaning towards in terms of the weapons that you're finding more interesting than not to play for your own playthroughs?
So more recently, I've definitely become a fan of wands. Like a wand and a grimoire is great because you've got like again the really quick, snappy damage, and then a set of really powerful spells on hand. I've also been a big fan of two-handed pistols. They've got a really nice punchy feel, and you feel like Yosemite Sam just kind of running around. Like, and if you time it right, you take one shot, and while you're reloading this one, you can take another shot with the other one. And again, if you get the timing down, you can make sure that you've basically always got a shot ready to go.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, what is next for the team? Just pushing towards 1.0, towards gold. Is that kind of the big goal now at the moment?
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember when does it fully, have you guys said anything, any years? I don't think months are out there, but what is launch? If you've said anything?
We're launching later this year.
Okay. All right. That's the tagline. I don't want to get you in trouble with PR or anything.
I think we were pretty safe there. I think that was
Oh
already.
yeah,
out.
yeah. That's already out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Co, any other questions? We actually made really good time for this.
No,
So,
I just want to say thank you so much, Carrie. It has been awesome. I think many of us we're so excited for this, and can't wait to see what you guys cooked up. It'll be
Well, thank
be a
you
lot of
so
fun.
much for having me. This has been a pleasure.
yeah, it's always awesome to have devs on and especially devs that are super enthusiastic about what they're building, and you definitely fit into that category. So we do shout outs here at the end. We kind of prompted you with this earlier, but anything you want to say to wrap up the interview in terms of what's coming next, or people that want to check out some other interviews that you've done or anything like that?
Just keep an eye out for Avowed. We're excited to launch later this year, and I'm very excited to see what kinds of characters our players are going to build. You can keep up with more news on the game on Twitter at Avowed the Game, and yeah, keep your eyes peeled for more news.
Awesome stuff. Now you get to listen to us. I'll let Co do his shout outs. I won't do any. Co, do some shout outs here for us. What do you got coming up?
All right.
Where
Just-
are you streaming? What are you doing?
Super quick. First of all, just a huge thanks again to Carrie. That was a lot of fun, great answers, and just extremely excited for this game. Thank you to JP and Zeke as always. My name is Co. Hi, you can find me every day at 8 a.m. except Sundays where I take the morning off. I am going to be playing a lot of Yakuza Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth this week. Probably some more Baldur's Gate 3 on our honor. We'll call it honor run. And probably some new games and demos and stuff as we enter Steam Next Fest. So hope to see you guys then. As always, thanks for being here. Thanks again to Carrie, and we'll see you next week, if not earlier.
Fantastic. I am going to call you out, Carrie. Are you enjoying Yakuza? You said you're playing it. Where? Oh, I'm sorry. I muted
Oh
you.
my gosh, he's such a perfect. Oh,
No, you're good. You're good.
yes. Oh man, Ichiban is such a perfect himbo. I love following him around, and yeah, this is it. This is a very good game.
Okay. Fantastic.
I just spent 12 hours in the mini Animal Crossing Island game. It's so good.
Yeah. Have you done any of the mini game stuff yet?
I've gotten a little bit into it. So the challenge for me is always I get into that stuff, and my husband and I play a lot of these games like together on the couch, just swapping controller. And I know he's not as into that stuff as I am. So that's my okay. It's Saturday morning. I'm up early. Let's go build our island. Okay, now we're hanging out. Now we're gonna do the main story.
Perfect. That's
So
awesome.
Carrie, for Avowed 2, maybe an Animal Crossing mini game, maybe.
Hey.
There you go.
That
There
sounds
you
like a
like it.
confirmation if I've ever heard
Yep,
one.
yep.
That was
Write it
there
up.
we go.
That's a headline.
Oh,
There we
official.
go.
It's
That's it.
official.
It's official.
Headline.
It's official.
It's official.
That's going to do it for Drop Frames. Carrie, once again, thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime. And and I guess this guy across from me, Zeke, thanks for being here as well. That'll do it for Drop Frames. We will be back next Sunday with another episode, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're out of here. Have a good one. Bye-bye.